What are the bans going to be? The mandatory ones against the Kwangdong Freaks are Tristana.
That's
and
one.
That's a tick off.
Italy.
Italy is another big one, as Cuz is ridiculously good at that champion. That's a tree. Maybe there's a cat in the tree, and so therefore we're going to have the ban on the cat after the tree.
We can't even call the firefighter because Tristana is also banned. So that's a little tough.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, man. They've really covered their bases.
Yeah, really well done here. Good draft prep. And when we look at the drafts on the flip side, it's actually going to leave the Lily open, which I imagine is the initial pick here. But the Lily has really risen in priority in the LCK, has been a top-tier pick in the LPL as well. And obviously, there is a pretty big divergence in playstyles, but the relative strength of picks often holds. And then Ashe and Kalista, neither of which should be a big surprise. Particularly the Ashe, to me, is I truly believe that Barrel has brought it back to everyone's attention, that that's a thing that you can do, as it is going to be at a Aurora that did make it through. We don't know if this is going to go to mid or top, most likely to Bulldog, but we'll see if they actually stick with that.
Yeah, Bulldog was the first one to play it, the first one to get a win with it, and looked pretty good on it last week, as Faker also played this last week as well, and that is a Diana. Imagine if it was both of the Wind Bros and Diana. That would be really funny. Sejuani going to be the lock-in here. That is a lot of synergy in a 1-2 package here for T1. Of course, the Yone could be going towards the top side, but I'm scared, Chronicler, because that is Cuz's Nidalee. And do you know how many times he's lost on Nidalee?
I do. It's
many?
0.
Yeah, not many.
It's 0 times,
if any.
split.
Yeah, it's a rough time.
When it comes to the 2v2, not the best combo here. Aurora, as strong as she is, doesn't necessarily have the most amazing setup for Nidalee. I gotta say though, Nidalee Ezreal, that feels like a great one too. For T1 though, having the Yone and Sejuani combination I think is strong because one, it's a flex. I think that Faker has looked better in terms of where he was on the map, but I think mechanically his Yone, couple of Q misses that didn't end up working out. Ults were kind of all over the place. But I am happy to see a Sejuani picked specifically with a really strong melee laner. And it can go towards top, it can go towards mid. I think it's most likely going to go towards Faker, but we'll see what ends up happening. As the MF pick here, I think is actually really solid. Thus far, the only downside of that is that you are going to be playing into Aurora as MF, which doesn't sound fun. But the combo with the Yone specifically, I think, is quite strong. And Ezreal was already picked. Like, Ezreal's kind of my go-to when it comes to playing into an Aurora. So I don't think a lot of your other options would have been great. And the laning pressure from MF is still a very real threat.
It's true. I am getting flashbacks to when KT tried to beat Kwangdong Freaks, and they also picked MF, and then MF died a million times with absolutely no possible way of answering. Sort of just got 100-0'd, and that was a shame. All right, the Braum going to be the final ban here. Not wanting to allow Andil to pick that one up. Allowed for a little bit more of that phalanx composition. Get those pokes happening.
Is Ando going to get Rakan as well?
It might just be that they passed the Tristana test and unfortunately failed the Nidalee and Rakan test. But it could be Carrier on the Rakan as well.
Yeah, can R4 it here. Also, to be fair, I think the Cuz Nidalee to me is a much bigger deal than Ando's Rakan. I think Ando has been solid. And his Rakan is great, but it's not to the same extent that we have seen Cuz take over games. Is Carrier going to lock in a support here? Because obviously counterpick would be available to Andil. And he has been pretty happy to go for some of these more creative picks. Something like the Leona is still available. And I think this is a really good call. This is a blind Gnar, right? There is going to be the counterpick opportunity unless they want to flex the Aurora at the top. But I think T1 has also made the call that's not the case with the Cassante ban. And using Carrier's champion pool is a really solid call because there is a lot of champions that Ando could have played that could have made it really hard if you lock like a Leona, for example.
Well, the Karma is being considered. Ezreal Karma is something that they have looked very good on, but Leona is still up, and they're going to go with that one instead. Now, Renekton is available and could theoretically be an option here, but instead it looks like they are going to move the Aurora towards the top side of the map.
No, you can't.
I love this. This is
IP.
This has got to be it. Or
Don't
something
mind
like
that.
this. This is fine too. Pick your poison there, Dudu. He's got a lot of pretty good options, but I mean, Nidalee Renekton on Dudu and Cuz, like these two have been the backbone of this team, and they can really get them off on the right foot. They managed to layer things correctly. Now, Carrier with counterpick, thinking about a rel angle, just needs some engage. Rakan, I think, would be fine too.
Either work. There is not necessarily as much AoE outside of, I think, specifically the Aurora we saw in the previous game. What can happen if you pick a Rakan into too much AoE damage? The Rel, very, very obvious as well. Goes together really well with MF specifically because you have so much AoE CC to set up for these big plays. And for the Kwangdong Freaks, I do think the Renekton can struggle in the 1v1 if he does get set behind. But this is basically what amounts to a pick, or at least a very upfront burst comp. You can slot a little bit into poke with the Nidalee and the Ezreal, depending on how the game plays out. But if you look at the engage that's available in T1, I don't think you're going to be allowed to do a whole lot of poking. So getting the Nidalee and the Renekton specifically ahead as much as possible, which you hopefully can leave the Ezreal in a lane alone, is going to be key here for Kwangdong. Because if you just go on even footing into 5v5s against the T1 comp, that's going to be a tough one, even with the Aurora.
It's absolutely true. And you might be looking at the Tier 1 composition and seeing that there is not a lot of magic damage. Doesn't really matter. There's not a lot of true tanks on the side of Kwangdong Freaks. I guess theoretically Leona, but she's not going to be building items, so it doesn't really matter too much. And we'll see whether T1 can just start snowballing this game relatively early. I have a feeling that that is going to be the game plan, but Kwangdong Freaks thinking very similarly, as they have a lot of power in these lanes. And then if they just let Bulldog do his thing, we've seen that this guy knows the combos in and out. He's very, very good at just eliminating a key target. You blink, and then they're gone. And we'll see whether Gumayusi is going to be able to play around that, because that's going to be the biggest difficulty here for T1 against this Kwangdong Freaks comp. Dangerous, dangerous drops. Let's jump into the rift for game 1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Onto the rift for game number 1, Kwangdong Freaks versus T1. And I'm remembering back, and I'm thinking maybe the reason why T1 didn't take away Cuz's Nidalee is because they're like, well, you weren't that great when you were on T1, so like it should be fine. But I don't even know whether that was true. And they should probably have known that maybe this pick could get ran over. Ona very, very good at Nidalee himself, so we'll see how he can actually mitigate some of the power here that Cuz will have in this early game. Because he is just like, I don't know, he's a different beast when he's on the Nidalee compared to any other jungler, I swear. Like, Cuz is just, he sometimes just has that pick. Last year it was Viego, this year it's Nidalee.
Really is. I'd argue that Canyon, his Nidalee feels like it's, what's the best way to put this? Canyon's Nidalee is very smooth, you know, it feels strong at any point in the game.
Yep.
But I think that Cuz is like, he's an actual animal that will invade your jungle, that will put you behind, and that will take over the game. And he kind of needs to, because Canyon is playing with perma-winning lanes, so just outpacing your opponent is enough. Whereas that's not the case, very obviously, for Cuz. If anything, we saw with Bulldog playing the Aurora earlier on very explicitly. He went, what, like 30, 40 CS behind?
Yep.
Was getting completely boomed in lane. And then the team fight started, and things got very dire. And unfortunately, Faker is not having the best of time here in the early laning phase. And I think the previous time was into a Corki, which definitely is a whole lot stronger than the Yone. But Faker taking a lot of free harass here as well.
He is just doing his very best to try and sit back, collect the experience that he can find. A lot of awkward health bars on these minions, so we'll probably miss a couple of them underneath this turret. You can see already Bulldog feeling very, very happy with how the lane state is going. And I think, you know, Cuz probably going to be glued towards the top side of the map, I would assume. Started on his red buff, is going to end up there. And Leaper needs to be a little careful. Going to get hit by a double up as Faker continuing to go down lower and lower here. This Bulldog having a pretty good time. Zay's going to hit Mega. Level 3 there as well. And that's Andal going in. Does find that Zenith Blade onto Gumayusi, but Leaper not a lot of follow-up through the minions. Of course, can't hit that Mystic Shot. So T1 are going to be able to weather that storm very comfortably.
Yeah, pre-Ezreal nerfs, you would have won that trade.
Yeah. Oh, a little bit of danger here as Jonas Strong turns the lights off. There's the spear connecting onto Ona. Cuz looking to push him out and will successfully do so. Now he has free reign on this top side. Ona actually having to go back, and Cuz is going to pull the wave. to make sure that Dudu is going to get this crash. Is the spear going to land? And is it even possible for it to miss? As, nope, that's going to be the setup, but see, it's going to get pounced on. They try to do it, and Owner is there to save him.
I thought that was a done deal, Atlas.
Me too.
But Owner, that is a game-altering play. Like, if Cuz gets that kill, early TP is forced, that alone can be enough. Like, that's what you want to do. You want to get the early lead on the Nidalee, and it doesn't matter if it's Cuz, who in this case would have picked up the kill, or if it's Dudu. As long as you snowball that top side, you can get so much control, set up the early grubs, and outpace the Sejuani. But Owner showing up like a superhero is like, you think he's out of the picture.
Yeah, exactly.
It just comes in. We were distracted, I think, both of us, by Zeus trying his best to live, and
the hop was actually really good, being able to eat the CC. But ultimately, just worked out, bought enough time for Owner to come over. And I thought that he was backing. I thought that Cuz had done his job. I think Cuz thought exactly the same thing. Still going to be ahead by a camp, as we can see. Still has a mid lane with a lot of control here as well. So T1 not out of the woods, but you can see here in the gold, it's up 100 here for T1. That first blood going over to Owner probably would have been nice if it was on Zeus. The important thing is that Quantum Freeze didn't blow any flashes, so they do have a little bit of extra power when it comes to a few more of these skirmishes. And we'll see whether Cuz does head back up towards the top side of the map to try and capitalize on the lack of summoner spells. Sleeper comes back towards this bottom lane. Does have his tier now stacking up, as well as a cheeky longsword. And Gumayusi probably going to take an opportunity to try and match some items here, as he does have a decent CS lead of about 4. So I say decent, not really much of a lead at all, just going to be trading waves.
yeah, that alone obviously not going to be enough, but definitely an impactful early moment that's going to give T1 a lot more leeway. Because if they are able to kill Zeus, then he TP's back on any return dive, especially without his flash. You can really start putting the Gnar behind. Not going to be the case, as now both Faker and Bulldog have gotten the back in.
Yep.
Good extension there by Faker. And as long as Bulldog doesn't proc the passive, should be a decent trade, as we are expecting Kwangdong to struggle with his bot lane as Zeus.
Yeah, he's going to hit Mini Gnar once again, so he can now harass Dudu out. Dudu does have his Call the Meek. That's going to help that health bar go back up again. Now Cuz with a spear is going to find Owner, steal away the dragon, and Andal's making his way in. They're looking to try and answer that first blood that Owner was able to take away, but the spear is going to miss, and Quantum Freak's going to have to settle with a free leash on a Drake.
Oh, if Cuz hits that spear with the flash, pretty sure that Owner is dead. As we take another look at this, yeah, do note, gets the stun, as you point out. Even though the spear hits, Zeus is also able to flash the damage of the swipe.
Yeah.
So that he barely stays alive.
Yeah. Faker giving them some kudos. Glad you live. Nicely done.
Generally, what you'd expect to get out is a 1 versus 1. Like, Cuz will die as Owner comes in, but that said, though, as mentioned, really nicely done by Cuz, not losing his mental, as we know. This guy is very resilient, so ends up getting the Drake steal and the triple grubs. So kind of back on track in that regard with the Nidalee into Sejuani.
Yep. 2.5 camps, the lead here for him, as Faker going to be snapping back. Bulldog just happily clearing out minions. Faker has been very, very good at staying up in CS. Doesn't have a whole lot of pressure in the lane or anything like that, but is at least last hitting very, very well. And is now level 7. So has the ulti. He's ready to start affecting some of these skirmishes. Can play alongside Owner very, very well. Could utilize some of that extra gold from that first blood that was picked up, as Leaper doesn't quite find a few of these skill shots.
Ow.
As the double up is looking real nice. If that was a serrated Dirk, would have hurt it even more.
Yeah. Interesting that we haven't seen Bulldog go towards bot side too much. They get the dragon. Does have good setup, but with both sums available, it's really hard to lock down the MF. She obviously is relatively slippery with those sums, and particularly when she has the Strut available as well. All
right. I think Gumayusi wants her back, as Leaper is going to part the Red Sea. And they're just going to deal with the minion wave themselves. Bit of free time given over to Carrier and Gumayusi here as Andal moves
Low
up.
cancel.
Yeah, we'll be able to find the ward. Very nicely done.
No.
just going to wander in and now look for a bit of a reset themselves, perhaps, unless they are able to get this shoved into the outer turret. Looks like the answer's no, so Leaper going to agree. He's going to head home, see what he can actually purchase for himself. A very even game state right now, as Ona looking for an opportunity. Faker going to unbind the soul for a second. Bulldog was already out of there. Does now have his Fiendish Codex completed, as Cuz looking to start off his blue buff, whilst also finishing the puppies. So Ona not any opportunity there, but does spot exactly where Cuz is. Keeping your eye on the Nidalee will be important. He's on the top side. That means that Zeus has to play a little bit carefully here. Cuz hopping on over, will be able to get in here. Yeah, knows. There is no vision around here as Dudu is going to set up for it. Ona in here. The spear not really connecting. There is the Mega Gnar to come through, and Zeus just picks up the kill, and now Cuz going to be in a whole lot of trouble, looking to try and pounce his way out, but Permafrost is there. They throw down the boulder. He does get the Primal Surge, but it doesn't matter. Now Bulldog's in trouble as well because Kerry is ganking the mid lane. T1 just sort of everywhere right now, and they're going to extend that gold lead to 1,000 now. At about 10 minutes is, all right, Bulldog's going to see what he can do here as the flash out from Faker gets him out of the circle of doom. And Bulldog not going to find any joy outside of the Summoner spell.
Good enough trade there, found by the mid laner of Kwangdong, but let's be honest, Owner, man, his positioning, his movement has been impeccable. Reads the play, and that's the one downside of this Nidalee and Renekton combo. It is pretty predictable that you're going to go to it. And as you point out, Owner, he sees Cuz. Zeus sets up the bait, and Dudu goes in early. There isn't a guarantee for the spear. The Mega Gnar is hit, and even with the flash, Cuz isn't able to make it out. So that's flash invested. That's a lot of time, and that's a double kill for the Gnar in a matchup where, again, if the Gnar does find the lead, it becomes so much harder to play. As the Renekton, and Dudu was actually doing, even with the early play not working out, a really good job. Like, he had, what, like a 15-20 CS lead, still applying a lot of pressure in lane. After that, though, I think it's going to be harder. And then Bulldog picking up, you know, an ult for flash trade. Like, that's nice, but alone not going to be enough. As Dudu, he doesn't have TP, so that's going to be a lot of blade gold here towards the bottom half of the map.
Yep, you can see Guma just throwing his ulti into the wave once again. It's all about macro control here for T1. And they are just accelerating, exactly right. This wave is going to go down. Cuz still going to be able to look for some grubs here. That is going to be 6 on the docket if he's able to take these. It looks like there's going to be no Sejuani in the area. T1 will be able to collect themselves a dragon. Doesn't feel great. Just grabbing a Chemtech. Still, it's not bad. And Cuz actually, wanting to come over and contest this one.
They're down a member here. They should know. Yeah, they have enough wards, so they do know that they're down.
Yeah,
one person. Leaper's on his way.
All right, so they do just give this one up. And Leaper in the mid lane will be able to just push this wave in. So Andal looking for Faker, Solar Flare, and the Zenith Blade are going to go completely wide. And Faker's just going to continue wandering towards the lane.
Yeah, Leaper trying, or Andal rather, trying to set up the preemptive ult there so that when you go in, you CC, but Faker very unimpressed by all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to catch him. Should be the Dragon going over. And good rotation as well here, actually, from Bulldog to catch that bot side wave without giving up too many resources, catch the wave, and get the Dragon as well. Now Cloud, it's solid, but really, if you're Kwangdong, I think you were looking for Hextech. Hextech could have been really, really big here, given the amount of poke that you have available. Obviously, we're always going to appreciate Cloud, but there are teams where I feel like you get a lot more value out of the ultimate part specifically than is the case with Kwangdong.
Yep, I do think that Dudu's going to be pretty happy about pressing Dominus and then running really fast.
That is true.
Renekton a little bit less mega kiteable. It's kind of what he is most of the time, as Zeus throwing these boomerangs around. And Dudu well and truly being kept down here as Ona moving on in once again. And this isn't a counter gank. This is just a straight up dive opportunity. Dudu knows that he's coming, but what's he going to actually be able to do about it? That's the question. Zeus will stack up this wave.
The Narbar
towards his turret, exactly. Andal needs to get here as soon as he possibly can. There's a teleport from Bulldog, so I don't think they're actually going to opt into it. They just wanted to get the crash, get themselves out of there. Trinity Force now done for Zeus. In this side lane, he is going to be so scary. And Gumyushi has just been quietly farming this entire time. Looking to try and grab some more plates here as well. Got a couple on the bottom side of the map. He's going to grab one here in mid.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of money that T1 are putting together, and Kwangdong Freaks haven't quite been able to find as much of it on this map.
What we are going to look towards as we get towards these fights is how well can Kwangdong isolate a target. That is a power that the composition still very much has, and a lot of that is going to rely on Bulldog and the ultimates that he can find, or, as mentioned, Dudu, who...
Carrier going to crash into Andal. Meganar is going to be activated here by Zeus, as Ona moving on in.
All right, this is going to be big. It's going to be the ultimate of Guma versus that of Bulldog. Can he channel it? Can Bulldog get backline access?
Yep, Dudu just going to shove this wave in. Teleport at the ready. Can actually be there at a moment's notice. This fight for the Herald could be a thing, or could be not. Spear going to connect onto Carrier. Faker going to look for an option onto Andal, but he just presses the Eclipse button. He should be okay. Bulldog just trying to bounce around. Zeus in mini-Nast, kind of susceptible. As Spear once again connects, but this Rift Herald will belong to T1. True Shot Barrage a little bit late. Is going to do a bit of damage, but otherwise not too much. And Dudu looking to try and grab some local gold, taking down this outer turret. And that is going to be first turret blood going over to the Renekton as well. Actually kind of a big deal, trying to get him back into this game.
Yeah, I don't mind the call here. You see Kwangdong, they were really playing that with 1 foot basically already out the door, going like, we're gonna put a little bit of pressure. If we see a really good angle, maybe we go for it. But we had Leaper also pressuring mid. Guma caught that wave. And then Dudu just continually pushing as he does get his back cancel. There's been a lot of back cancels.
Yeah, that's been the aim of the game, is who can be on the map in the right places more often. And it's been mainly T1, but that was Leaper finding a bit of an advantage himself. Nicely done.
Seek's now done for Owner. Has fallen pretty substantially behind, as you would expect in this matchup when it comes to the CS. Sejuani just can't really keep up with the middle clear. Mid lane basically even. Top lane, Zeus definitely with a good advantage. As we can see, Strikebreaker is not done for Dudu, which is going to help a lot both in the 1v1 and also with maybe setting up play on someone like Guma down the line.
Ooh, the cannon. The cannon is going to stay alive for Dudu to collect. Faker really wanted that one to go down. You can actually see just wasn't able to do it in time. Does clear out that wave quite nicely. As there is another back coming in. Cuz going to be going back home after taking down the Rift Scuttler. And this game is really slowed down, somewhat stagnated here at about a 1,400 gold lead for T1. And I think the slower this game is, the better it is for T1. Just because Kwangdong really wanted to get out to that good start. And I feel like as this game goes on, the 1-3-1 power of T1 in this mid to late game is going to be difficult for Kwangdong Freaks to answer.
Is it stagnant or is it just build up?
Biding its time. Well, I mean, that's what stagnant is.
Well, I feel like stagnant has a more negative connotation as a Bulldog.
Yeah, he is going to collect an ulti here. Bulldog is going to be able to bounce into stealth, though, as he gets over to the other side of his circle. Kwangdong Freaks just going to eat a few abilities, and they should be okay.
A lot of damage to come down. Leaper is pushing in mid, as Azrael feels relatively safe. Owner looks to be answering that, but do note, they did get 4 grubs. So at least going to have a little bit of additional pushing power. That's some ultimates gone, though. We'll see. Guma just going to pick this up, and particularly when you have your summoners available and when you have the BT, MF just feels like she rules the map, which for thematic consistency, I really appreciate.
Yep, I think it kind of works out. As T1 wanted to get the first Cloud Drake here. We're setting up for it. The Spear is going to go wide, Cuz certainly been pretty good at making sure the Dragons go over to Kwangdong Freaks thus far.
Banana Brush.
Yeah, Banana Brush control comes in. As Faker actually winning out in this these trades against Dudu. Really nice. As, okay, Spear going to connect onto Gumyushi into the backline, but that's a great Magnet Storm onto Bulldog. Unable to actually finish him off as Faker ults in, doesn't quite find the ulti, and in fact will just go down. Leaper was right there and grabs himself the kill. That should be Soul Point going over to the Kwangdong Freaks, but they'll have to sacrifice their outer turret in mid lane in order to get there. So Cuz will go on over, collect that dragon, And is it going to be another charge? It's not. As Leaper gets to the other side, we'll be able to poke her in the eye. So, Owner is clearing out vision, that banana brush, but there are a lot of waves that need help. And so Quantum Freaks should be able to get this.
Wave needs to be caught. And there, the fact that Amdil makes it out and Faker overextends. And we saw this in the previous game as well, those ults. If he hits it, look at the kill on Bulldog, but instead ends up backfiring immensely. And I think T1 could have definitely played that a little bit slower. So this setup, this is great, right? Right from the get-go, 2 health bars are low, but then Faker ends up going for the flash ultimate way too much. If he still has his flash, maybe he gets out on the tail end of that. Not the case, and as mentioned, Amdil gets out as well. So Bulldog can just TP back towards that dragon. And now Soul Point here for Kwangdong. The gold lead's still there for T1. But as long as Kwangdong keeps stringing these drakes together, they're going to be so mobile on the Rift.
Yeah, and this dragon was probably the most important one, right? Because this gives you inherent map pressure whenever the Baron is up and available. That's going to be there in about 40 seconds time. So I think Color's kind of doing his job for this early game outside of being able to get an advantage for Dudu. That would have made the game very, very difficult for T1. And so a lot of this hinges on how much Owner and Zeus can get with the advantages that they've picked up. Because I think that Zeus in team fights, I mean, he's already scary. In side lanes, the team fighting Gnar, if he's able to get that Gnar bar into position like we know he can, it's going to be very, very scary. True Shot Barrage is going to just sail by Owner, but still the W will be activated.
Yeah, and it was the Gnar that got a lot of people, me included, super excited about Zeus. Back when we saw some glimpses of him already in 2021.
It was his debut champion, wasn't it, that year?
It was, yeah. And his spacing, which he is obviously still a fan of on the range champion specifically, back then, absolutely exceptional. This split, it's been hit or miss, and I think mostly towards the miss column as Guma is
Solar Flare coming in. It's a lot of damage from Leaper as the Glacial Prison comes down. Bullet time is decent. Leaper actually having to get out of the way of that one. Andal's really dead as Cuz realizing he's not going to be able to find an avenue in, and Leaper is still on the run. Zeus gets in there with a teleport. Does have to invest that one, but this is an inner turret that they could theoretically be taking down. But instead, Ezreal says no. That is going to be that one locked up. Faker now once again going to be ulting forward, not quite doing anything, and Bulldog is just going to take out the minions.
Yeah, T1 is really, again, as they did in the previous series, putting a really high priority on Yone. Fishing for these ults, not really hitting thus far.
Yep. But, you know, if you land one of them, then that's dinner. Or something.
I mean,
do they say that when you're fishing?
Have you ever fished?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was really boring. I didn't like it.
Oh, you shouldn't ask me. I've never fished.
You've never been fishing before?
No, I've been like crab hunting in the beach.
Have you ever like waited on a park bench before?
Yes.
That's basically fishing.
As we see here, Kumayushi, he's just waiting as well. He's living his best life, not using the cleanse until necessary, knows how tanky he is with that BT, so just stands there, and then, you know, when he does have to cleanse, just walks it off. TP comes in, T1 turn to play. I think Kwangdong really got to count themselves lucky that they ended up trading Amdil for a TP, which isn't the worst trade, I'd argue, if they can put Dudu in the side lane and try to leverage this. Because one thing that I do want to note is that Bulldog has been playing super defensively on this Aurora. He's mostly been catching waves, not necessarily been able to push, which is why the top side outer still standing, mid lane outer also still standing. And those must be on the mind of Kwangdong right now. Want to push those down, get at least a good amount of gold, and in case of mid, also some very valuable map control, because right now, Kwangdong are not going to really be able to threaten Baron whatsoever, because it's so easy for T1 to contest the mid wave.
I think it all comes down to whether Bulldog can string together this Cosmic Drive, as he's going to hop into stealth. I think Owner actually spotted him just there. We did see the vision, but still not enough to actually save this outer turret in mid lane. That is going to be collected by Leaper. Zeus moving towards the Dragon Pit. That one's going to be up in 50 seconds time. Owner with some vision now of it. And Faker will be able to clear out this outer turret. That will answer. And Cuz on a ward here, as we can see. Gets a trap down, as Dudu will be able to pick up this wave. But already, T1 able to answer that mid lane push and get themselves even further ahead when it comes to this gold. But that is that Cosmic Drive that we were talking about, done for Bulldog. large amount of AP for this Aurora right now at level 14.
Yeah, between the passive, I think it's called Spirit Hopper, I want to say.
I'm not entirely sure about what
as
the
well
passive is called.
as well as the Cosmic Drive. Bulldog going to be very mobile in these fights, and there is still enough power. Really big there. Sterix done for Dudu. Zeus already had his. Not having that Sterix available means that the Renekton cannot go nearly as aggressive when it comes to the backline dive, and he is, I think, someone that's going to have to threaten Guma together with Bulldog, and we can see already attempted flanks. Zeus does have his Mega Gnar that's about to time out, but with Faker also pushing. I'll have to see if Kwangdong, I think they need to pull the trigger and just start this Dragon, force Faker to TP, and otherwise they're going to lose an inner.
Well, Kwangdong Freaks, they have started it up.
There we
They've
go.
Just throwing a lot of abilities into it. Owner is going to get pushed back. He can wrap around in time, though, to go for a bit of a 50-50 as there's the teleport from Faker. Carrier going to get slowed down here. As in position is Owner. There's the Magnus Storm, not exactly getting the most value, as now Leaper is looking to push Faker away. Carrier is going to be taken down, and Zeus, he will hit the Mega Gnar, but he's not going to be able to stop this Soul from going down. Faker is going to have to rebind his Soul, and now he's 1v1ing against Sleeper. Meanwhile, Zeus is going to fall down, and the Kwangdong Freaks are going to win the fight. Oh, Faker taken down, can't unbind the Soul in time. And is that just Baron as well?
Yeah, Atlas, that's Soul and Baron to come through here for the Kwangdong Freaks.
Oh, Gumiushi.
Oh,
Have to face check Bulldog here. Doesn't have his ulti, but can still do a lot of damage on this Aurora. Look at how fast he is. It's kind of nutty. True Shot Barrage not really going to do anything at all.
Owner has flash.
Yeah, Owner is still here. This is still really, really risky for the Kwangdong Freaks. They do have vision now.
Oh, Atlas.
T1, can they save this? That's the question. Bullet time comes in. They're going to try and take it down. It's Guma that takes it. Of course it is. They have to sacrifice themselves. None of the Barons stay up. But if we can't have Baron, you can't have Baron, says T1.
That's still not great. They lost Soul, Atlas, but it's something. They at least deny the certain loss. As we take a look here, the engage of Carrier just so disjointed from the rest of the team. And Dudu, man, keep Zeus out of the... So Zeus did TP back in.
He did. He might kill Cuz. That Primal Surge was pretty good. That is going to save him. Yeah, don't have a lot of context for that whole situation there. Dudu is going to be taking an outer turret here on the top side of the map, and the splits continue with Aurora at the bottom.
As you're saying, there is actually no Red Bull Baron power. It's not real.
No, yeah, just cancels. If everyone dies, then sorry, Red Bull, you don't get your little shout out.
As we see here, look at, oh my god, the timing on that. It never went below, what, like 1300?
Yeah.
So really nicely done. And then, so Zeus TP'd here, I imagine, because he thought that everyone on Kwangdong would take a tempo back. But then they spotted him, and Cuz just went straight for him. Bulldog got the TP behind him, and just end up taking him down, which doesn't matter in terms of objective, but it does kind of solidify that T1 seemed to be all over the place. Like, particularly when you look at how that team fight played out. So Zeus wasn't able to get onto the back line. Guma was completely zoned, did basically no damage in that fight, right? Not really able to get anything going. And then Faker wasn't able to find an impact either. Did a lot of damage, as did Zeus, but the back line on Kwangdong wasn't threatened.
Arcane Shift is going to get buffered as Leaper actually able to just get out of that. Doesn't even press the cleanse button.
What?
Nerves of steel, man.
Oh, Leaper and Guma, they're doing the stare down, you know? It's like, whoever breaks first.
Yeah, exactly.
Loses. Not allowed.
Come on, Andil, throw a Soul Flare at Gumiushi. Let's see.
He's just going to take it, man. I want to repeat. Every individual game matters. We are in an insanely close playoffs run.
Leaper is playing real hard. It's okay. Gumiushi gonna get taken down really, really low. This is 3 items on the Ezreal. He is a big deal. And that is going to be in a turret taken. No Baron, but yeah, still a whole lot of sieging power.
And the rotations, Atlas. Like, look at how quick they are.
It's called the Swift Rift for a reason, baby. And Zeus going to be taking a fair bit of damage, make it rain, but Andil very, very happy to tank that one up. Warmog's already in hand. And so this inner turret is going to survive a little longer. Kwangdong Freaks really have just taken tempo of this game and are not giving it up, though.
Really aren't. And we're seeing the issue even with Gumayushi like staying alive in the previous fight, like we just keep going back to the fact that Bulldog ulting alone is such a big threat. And I think they kind of got to embrace that someone is going to die on T1. Because you have Yone, you have MF, you have Zeus. One of those hopefully should be enough to carry you through, because when you look at Kwangdong, there's a lot of bursts, and Andil is like relatively tanky. Dudu can obviously take a beating, but in a long fight, should have the sustained damage to chew through nonetheless. And we might be looking at an Elder Flip in about 1.5 minutes, Atlas. And
get your spatulas ready.
yeah, summoners are going to be up. Thus far, when it comes to the objectives, we're, what, like, Kuz's gotten 1 steal, and then Guma's gotten the other.
Was Kuz's really a steal, or was it like a bully him away? I guess it was a steal.
No, the first one was the
that was
the first dragon, Ocean.
Yeah.
That was, and the second one they did just bully them away. Yeah.
All right, True Shot Barrage, not going to find Gumayushi there. Just scoping out what the options are.
If Guma can get Mortal Reminder, that'd be huge. Mortal Reminder is going to get a ton of value into the combination of Nidalee and Renekton specifically. Glieber hasn't actually gone for BT, which is usually what we see come out next.
Yeah, he's got a Brutalizer. So not going to be going towards the BT anytime soon. As Bulldog...
3 items. Crit Bloom done.
Yeah. No Leandries on this particular Aurora. But I think that, Crit Bloom was what he kind of needed. Oh, Zenith Blade just barely going to go wide, I think. And he'll probably thinking his lucky stars for that one.
16 stacks on the Dark Seal in total here for Kwangdong as well, Atlas.
Yep, and Leaper is extraordinarily big. You can see doing some aiming things here on this Ezreal. Gets over the wall, and Bulldog just wanting to blow someone up. We'll see who he decides he wants to take down. As Gumayushi's been pretty good at keeping his distance from this Aurora, and T1 know that this is a fight that they have to win if they want to stay in this game, because the Elder is going to be so incredibly difficult to deal with. 50 seconds on the Baron as well, so whoever gets the Elder probably gets the Baron.
It's so hard to walk up to mid-wave into an Aurora.
Well, Owner is just going to go in. Glacial Prison does go wide as Faker eats a fair bit of damage there, but the Primal Surge is going to keep Bulldog so healthy. And now he's able to dash forward, finds the circle. Gumayushi is going to immediately flash out of it, and Owner, he cannot press Q to get out of that one. Still, Kuz will be eliminated. They trade junglers, but Faker's going to be taken down, and Dudu is an absolute monster. And that is into the backline. Bulldog, he's looking for Gumayushi, but he stays alive. And he's got the Bloodthirster, but I don't think he's got Crocodile protection. That is not covered in his insurance policy, and there's a reason for it. True Shot Barrage not going to work out. Dudu is underneath a turret, so apparently he'll enter your home as well. Crocodile's extremely dangerous, and Zeus, he's the last man standing.
Oh, I thought that maybe that was going to be enough, but they do waste enough time to at least stave off the game for now. But realistically, this is going to be both the Elder and the Baron going over to Kwangdong. So T1 going to have to find a miraculous hold, and Kwangdong, the last game against the Freaks was a disaster. But man, have they bounced back. As we take a look here, absorb the initial blow, and then this ultimate from Bulldog gets Guma's flash, gets Owner low, and yeah, Owner doesn't die immediately, but Andil with the ultimate, yep, immediately cancelling Guma's damage. Faker goes in very, very deep together with Zeus, but Leaper is able to stay alive. And then Bulldog, together with Andil, tries to kill Guma, and it ends up working out. It takes a little bit of time. Dudu has to, I think, invest his flash. Yeah, there you go. Gets the Stride Breaker proc just on the edge. And that's going to be the Elder buff going over. Imagine Baron is soon to follow, Atlas. And again, even just a game for Kwangdong would make their chances of making playoffs so much better.
Well, Zeus has been put into a circle with a bunny girl who is favored by the Dragon Lord. And Zeus is just going to have to try and kite it out as best he can. Andal's going to be here as well. The Baron is going to go down in the meantime. So Wallop coming on through doesn't really matter too much at all. So Zeus will be falling. Kuz should be able to activate it with the red buff. And there it goes. Owner now out of position as well, as Dudu should be able to lock him down. There's Zenith Blade for the setup, and Leaper grabs that kill himself. Baker is in the bottom lane though. Gumayushi was setting up this inner turret in the mid lane. True Shot Barrage looking to try and cancel some of these backs, though. You can see going to sail past where Gumayushi was and not going to be able to hit Faker. So he gets back home. But now you've got an inhibitor down on the top side of the map, an exposed inhibitor here in mid lane as well. And Kwangdong Freaks, they are all business today. It's all about taking this one down. It's into the circle. They go Faker. It's going to be eaten by a dragon. That's 3 on the floor in the blink of an eye. And in the same amount of time, Kwangdong Freaks finish off the Nexus. They're 1-0 in this series, and playoffs looking like it's in their sights.
And everyone on Kwangdong got their moment in that one. Cuz with the steal, Bulldog with the ultimates, Dudu with the backline threat, Leaper playing like an absolute maniac on the front foot, and Ondale, after what was again such a rough final game, the Nautilus hooks against BNK just never seemed to hit. But in this one, that solar flare might have been the difference maker.
Yeah.
As Kwangdong go up 1-0.
And there is so many positives to take away from Kwangdong in this game, because they're a team that's also, when they're sort of pushed off their rhythm, they can really struggle to get back into gear. And you could imagine at the very beginning, with Cuz and Dudu not being able to line up that gank and then giving Ona that first blood, giving the Sejuani the extra power, the bounce back afterwards, and just how massive Dudu was, irrespective of the fact that Zeus did get that early lead.
And not at any point did we see that combo of the Yone, the MF really come together. T1, they look disjointed. They got to fix that. They want to bring us to game number 3.
Exactly. They will have side selection moving into game number 2, though, so we'll see what they can do with it. Time for us to go to a short break, then the Space going to break it down, and we'll have game number 2. See you there.
압박 주자. 그냥 미프한테 공 받고
야, 요네 집 내가 한번 끊을게.
집까지 내가 집이래.
한번 끊어.
탐내자.
아무것도 없어. 그냥 밀면.
공 10초.
다이브다 이거 다이브야.
이거 요네만 뿌린다. 요네만 풀 요네만 있어.
나 원거리 한 마리 살릴까?
야, 이거 밖에 나 10초, 7초, 5초.
얘들아 이거 레이궁 조심. 레이궁 떨어져 있어.
레일 노플.
레이궁만 조심해봐.
야, 물게. 나이스. 아빠 잘하자.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh no, Atlas.
Yeah.
That's not good cooking.
I
okay?
feel like stuff is going to get through. Let's just say that.
Events will transpire. And
Yes.
whether or not we'll like them remains to be seen. My main thing is denying Cuz the Nidalee. We saw another example, and I think those jungle votes were very warranted.
Oh, yeah.
Because despite the fact that he was substantially foiled in the early game, still found a decent lead, it didn't matter, right? Like, he got to the mid to late game, still with an impact, still was able to show his presence in the team fights. And man, this Yone priority by T1 going to be maintained. And I do think it's a really strong pick right now. And I like this more than picking it. I think that T1 are clearly have a specific read, but Faker on Yone just hasn't had the impact that he needs to for this pick to work. So they're going to ban it instead. Is it going to be Nidalee B1 here? Aurora is open.
No, now they get Aurora Nidalee on red side.
Aurora Nidalee again.
Huh. But you do have to give up Rumble, and Rumble is extraordinarily powerful. But this is what happens, and this is what I was saying. They actually just banned the same champions that they did on blue side and said, yeah, that's fine. You just have whatever's left, and we'll pick all the other cool stuff. And I think that they may as well. And Aurora is a possibility for the top side as well, guys, obviously. But it's likely that that's going to go once again into the hands of Bulldog. They really maximize the amount of time to have a discussion.
Even in the game that Bulldog got a substantial deficit in laning phase, he still carried in team fights. I think this guy right now is looking like just straight up our best Aurora, and giving it to him again when the pick is so clearly, so insanely valuable is a gigantic gambit. And as we have repeated many a time, T1, if they end up losing here, not going to be eliminated or anything crazy like that. But it is going to make their life harder. And if they lose here against Kwangdong, then that series against BNK gets even more pressure added on top of it. And there are a lot of other factors, but
Yeah.
Cuz has got a Nidalee again, Atlas.
Yeah, he's 9-0 currently on the Nidalee. We were talking a lot about
Can't pick Sejuani.
the Rakan that was also very, very good for Andal, and the Tristana for Bulldog. Those, like the Tristana was banned. That is certainly good news.
Okay.
The Vi is going to get through. That will be the answer to Cuz this time around. I think gives them a bit more firepower and also holds people on equalizers, which is going to feel fantastic.
Or like Vi Ari, Vi LeBlanc.
Yeah, I feel like either of those options don't sound too bad to me. Or they could just lock down a high priority AD carry, like a Kai'Sa fits into this composition very well.
I would love an Ezreal personally, just for being playable into Aurora. Not going to be the case. It's going to be the Azir. Not going to make me super excited when it comes to pure pick power, but obviously peak comfort for Faker. Azir buffs are going to hit on the next patch.
That's a Lucian.
Yeah, we don't really know. There is, of course, the opportunity here for the Aurora to go towards Dudu. We have seen that played in that matchup, but it looks like Dusante making an appearance again. And what this does, compared to the Renekton we saw in the previous game, is that it frees up Cuz to go to other lanes. Last time around, that wasn't the case. You basically want to play towards the top side, want to play towards the Renekton. We saw that predictability get punished as well. Does mean you're going to take a colossal beating. Even our best Cassantes, Keen and Dudu, have taken like really, really rough laning phases when they get picked into the Rumble. And the Ezreal ban to come out here. I do think that Kwangdong would have probably picked it up on R4 here, so I think it makes sense. But again, what is going to be the answer? And you just so badly want something with a blink, just so that the Aurora doesn't completely invalidate your AD carry. Might be Xayah, which I know how all of us feel about that one.
Yeah, I'm not feeling too psyched about the Xayah option. I imagine that it could certainly be a possibility.
On the offensive.
They have really liked it. I wouldn't mind the Kai'Sa just in the composition, but maybe not as much with the Azir.
Yeah.
Let's just see what Leaper is going to take away. It looks like it might just be MF for him. And that is going to deny what Gumushi played in the last game. He doesn't have to worry about being put in a circle. And he can actually layer a cone on top of it. That's going to feel pretty good. Guma just thinks maybe I just stand really, really far away.
That works.
Yeah?
Like, that's honestly not too bad of a solution. So you can either try to go mega aggressive, right? Try to go and dive together with the Vi. Or you can take the up.
Whoa!
So what? That's
Varus.
We have not seen a Varus in a good amount of time, everyone. That champion has not been at the forefront of the meta. He's also receiving some pretty... I think it's on the next patch that he receives buff. Might have been on this one, because they basically did like a kind of a mini rework.
Yeah, the little mini rework did happen on this patch, where they just changed around where a bunch of his numbers went. I don't exactly know where that kind of left the Varus, because we just haven't seen it, guys. Andal is thinking about the horse pants, and of course we do know that Bullet Time and the Magnet Storm are very powerful. It is exactly what Gumushi Carrier played in the last game. And Kwangdong Freaks, pretty well-rounded draft here, I have to say. But T1, this time around with a lot more power picks under their belt. I also really like Equalizer and the Chains of Corruption, because you can really lock someone down. And with the fact that they have a Vi for guaranteed lockdown and a Nautilus for guaranteed lockdown, beginning these wombo combos is not going to look nearly as hard as it did in the first game. And that was something that the space brought up as well.
I do agree with that, but I also think that a lot of that CC, carry notwithstanding, unless Faker gets a big sweep, is going to be mostly single target. And I find it hard to see how the damage dealers on tier 1 are going to live when Aurora puts them in the basket with MF standing outside, throwing an ult on top of everyone.
Throwing apples in the basket?
Oh, yeah.
As it were? Yeah, could certainly be a very, very dangerous situation here, as we're looking for some Teemo. Yeah, the Antara Teemo. But we're not, I don't think we're going to get it. And Just remember, guys, the T1 skins are releasing today. The World skins are going to be coming out, and so that is extraordinarily exciting. None of them being represented in this particular game.
Yeah, between that and the emotes,
Yeah.
you know, the Bulldog Bite It, the T1 GOAT, it's a good day.
Yeah.
If
It
you,
is
love
definitely a good day.
being creative.
Precisely. Time for us now, though, to get onto the Rift for game number 2. See whether T1 can shore things up, utilize the blue side effectively, and bring us to the final game of the series. Let's do it. Top of the Rift right now.
수환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. And now I'd like to take you on a journey, because what we were going to say is we were getting ready to celebrate T1 qualifying for the playoffs. With a victory here in this series, that is precisely what would happen. However, we are now heading down a darker timeline. So in order for T1 to not make playoffs, a certain amount of things has to happen. A, they have to lose this next game.
Okay.
That will keep them on 9 match wins.
Yes, and with
They
a
will move up to 8 losses.
1 game score.
Indeed. We then require Humble Life Esports to lose to BNK.
Okay, that one's a bit of a stretch, but
We might need to talk to Peanut about Shyvana and things like this.
Nerfed Shyvana.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing that has to happen is KT needs to beat DK in our Saturday showdown this week. So
That's a 50-50. We know that one.
That is a 50-50. BNK then needs to also beat T1.
So
T1 needs to go 0-2.
Yeah, have their fate in their own control, even if they end up losing here. And
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and basically everything bad has to happen for T1 not to make playoffs. They are almost just there.
And then on the flip side for Kwangdong, just to put it in perspective for everyone, if they get a 2-0 here, realistically, if Humble Life beat BNK and T1 beat BNK, all they need to do is win against DRX.
Yep, they don't even need T1 to beat BNK in that instance.
Yeah, because if they beat DRX, then they will still end up
Yep.
pulling out, because the Kwangdong game score is actually pretty good, which is why the previous game matters so much. Also, I took another closer look. So the mini rework where they kind of tried to tune down the fact that he was, just meta for 2 years as either an AD carry or as a lethality carry or as a
top
obviously
laner.
very safe, or oh god, don't remind me of that, or a good on-hit champion. So that was on this patch, or a previous patch. He got changed as
Leaper taking a lot of damage here as Gumyushi getting a little bit aggressive.
Do you want to note Leaper actually going for the
nailed
cleanse
it.
here?
The double up though, did you see that? That was pretty sick. Yeah, the cleanse is an odd one, but he did actually just utilize it.
No, it was actually really, so getting the cleanse into the ignite obviously feels great. You can also use it for the root on Guma's ultimate specifically. It's just because there's also Vi and there is the Nautilus ult, and which obviously are uncleansable. But so Varus did get buffed on this patch. Also, Witsand got a pretty decent buff, so I'm like, is Guma just cooking, and are we going to see a crazy high MR build so he can just stand and take all the hits that Bulldog and Cuz are going to throw at him?
Like the Terminus Wit's End that we saw Deft pull out in our first series. It could be a thing.
Oh, Owner looking for an early dive here.
Yeah, Leaper is somewhat in danger. Gumyushi also in a fair bit of danger, but it might be that they're just not going to do it. May as well sort of test the waters here as Andal just scoping on out, seeing what's going on. Doesn't really spot too much there as Carrier pulls the wave for a moment. We'll now just go for that reset. Leaper already back in base, going to be able to buy a cull and a refillable and head himself back towards the bottom lane. So not looking to win lane at any point here. That's Bulldog's job, apparently. He is finding a fair bit of harassment here onto Faker in the early game. As Dudu, I mean, this is what happens in this matchup. You just get cooked. You just get barbecued. And that's how it goes. It's not fun times for the Cassante in the laning phase. You just convince yourself that you're going to be way more useful late game.
Which isn't even necessarily true because it's Rumble, but that is what you do, yeah.
Yep.
We do have Dudu with the, mega sustained setup, has his cookies, has a, Leaper, he doesn't know, does have flash.
Well, let's see. Andal very far away from this one as Make It Rain does connect. They get the flash out, but there's the crash down. That's going to get the flash as well out of Gumayusi. So an even trade there. Quandong Freaks retain, some control on this wave. There is, I feel like First Blood is going to happen so soon.
Yeah, so you can see as well, both junglers paying a lot of attention towards this bot side, because it does feel like whichever AD carry gets ahead, because this is engage versus engage, you can just bash your heads into each other, and whoever has an item lead is going to be feeling really good about that extended all-in.
Oh, Dudu has already teleported back. That's why this this health trade is looking a bit aggressive here from players.
He's got a rejuve bead.
Yeah, there we go. Equalizer is going to go down, and now he's going to really need that rejuve bead.
Still got 2 cookies. He's fine.
True. And now it is going to be a little bit of respite as Ona.
Wait,
Going to get spotted here. Cuz, oh god. We've seen this timeline before. As Cuz gets in, he's not able to steal it away, but Ona is now in trouble. Carrier inside the pit. Gumayusi trying to get rid of Leaper here. The spear is going to miss. Bulldog comes down, puts them in a circle, and that is going to be 2 swift kills. Faker going to go down as well, though, and the Aurora is on the board.
And that's kills going to Leaper and Bulldog, Atlas.
Oh god.
That's gonna feel amazing for Kwangdong. This time around, Owner denies the steal, gets it, but it's just not enough. Really cute interaction there, by the way, where Faker like swoops Aurora to the other end of the pit. Look. So this time around, just a little bit too late is Cuz Carrot does a good job of keeping him out of the pit until it's too late. Owner, though, takes so much damage, so he has to flash. And then Guma just gets flashed on, ends up going down immediately. And the ultimate from Bulldog keeps Faker around the rest of the team for long enough. So that's going to be a bunch of flashes gone, whereas Bulldog still has his, Andil still has his. And yes, the Dragon went over, but unlike the previous game, I don't really feel like there is a very, pressing need for Kwangdong to snowball early and get to that soul point very quickly.
I would agree. I think that this composition is looking a little bit cleaner as far as how it's going to navigate the later stages. Sort of one of those things where you don't see a Renekton and you're like, late game good, is kind of how my mind works. And we're going to be cantering over, or is that more of a trot? Looks like more, that's a canter, there we go. That's going to be Carrier connecting to the wall. There's bullet time, and is he just dead? He is. Cuz going to come on over, pounces on down. Now looking for Gumayusi. Spear not going to connect, but they've got a huge minion wave. Guma has to get out of here. He's going to miss all of that CS. Oh no, is he going to miss his life? No, he's not.
Will, fortunately for him, hold on to that. But Kwangdong, that's what we said. The moment you start falling behind in this bot lane, continued attention towards it. Carrier doesn't have flash, that's an easy punish, and the goal goes down to that previous fight at the Drake. Don't even need Bulldog to come over, just Cuz alone, following up on the setup from Andil. And I just want to reiterate, Leaper is also sitting on a call.
Yeah.
He is just naturally going to get even further ahead in this lane. Didn't get the kill, but the kill went to Cuz. He's undefeated in Italy.
Yeah, he's looking for 10-0.
And meanwhile, Dudu, this is what if you're playing a top laner that is losing lane, and you know that going into the game, this is the dream. You just sit there and you hear, an enemy has been slain. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, he's just wishing he was playing Nasus instead, so he could just sit there and continue.
Man, I wish
just
we saw more Nasus. Oh boy.
Oh dear, okay. There's the all-out into the wall. Andil's going to come on over. Doesn't even need to press any buttons yet, as the equalizer goes down and doesn't do too much. And Gumayusi had almost gotten here.
Wait.
Oh, does have Chains of Corruption, and Dudu might actually stick around. Oh, there it is. He's going to charge this one up as Dudu, he gets the shield, he flashes. Is the Ignite going to be enough? Cuz he's going to turn up in the Primal Surge. Oh, Andil's also going to survive this one as crashes to get the shield. Kwandong Freaks can do no wrong this game. What is going on?
Oh, Atlas, that is a tilter right there.
Oh, they're still looking for more, though. Not out of the woods just yet, as there is Ona making his way in with that Bolt Breaker. Cease and Desist is going to connect it. Andil goes down, and T1 not standing for these shenanigans.
All right, Tilt averted. Everything's okay again.
Oh, yeah, it's all fine.
That was a little dicey there for a second.
Oh, Faker's in the circle. Bulldog doesn't find the Q, does manage to get some of the other abilities, but the Q's the most important one.
If he gets the Q with the execute, that would have been the end of Faker. Not going to be the case here. Faker also holding onto his ultimate. Yeah, no. The fact that they actually were able to convert on that, pretty big, Atlas. Because if that topside play is just a complete disaster, that might have just been it for T1, at least in this series, as it would have meant that even further out. As we're taking a look at this, crucial here.
We're back a long way.
Yeah, this is a long way. Like, Carry doesn't have flash, so going in the first place there is a big risk. Cuz finds a wonderful punish, and then here, Sayers doesn't have the damage to actually turn this around by himself, as Dudu immediately leaves the equalizer. And then this is where the T1 secret plan comes into place. Look at that.
Oh.
The shield, and then Cuz comes in with the heal, even through the ignite. That is just barely enough. And then fortunately, Owner ends up showing up. Really big as well, if you look at the mid-wave, is that Faker just pushes in a giant wave. So if that's not the case and Aurora can roam up, there might be an opportunity for a turnaround. That's not the case. Libra can't join this. So good on T1 to further push and make sure that they actually get something towards the top side now. A kill for Guma, kill for Owner. And they're still behind in gold, but without it, I think the game would not have been technically over, but would have been in a really rough spot. They still are going to have to find a way to deal with Bulldog, though, because he is, again, getting plates. Malignant is ready, and that early kill has really accelerated him.
Yep, Owner looking to try and pay Dudu a visit, and then
OTP.
possibly head over for some grubs as Carrier's turning up as well. That is going to be the CC layering. Dudu is very tanky, though, as Owner gets himself out from underneath the turret. Carrier not going to get pulled back by that Q3. And Dudu is still here. Still thriving. Feeling all right. Does have his Spectre's Cowl, so he's going to have a bit of that health back as well. As Zeus down towards his bottom side, just clearing out some minions. Cuz wants to be able to deny the 6 stack of the grubs, but I don't know whether he's going to be able to. I don't think he's going to risk it.
So the big thing here is that Dudu has to TP bot to catch this wave, otherwise Zeus is just going to get free plates. But Zeus still has TP, so now there's the threat. If Kwangnak overinvest into a attempt to deny these grubs, they might get punished. You see Zeus as well, look at his positioning. And the moment they get them, they're like, okay, they're not going to engage, everything's fine. I think Zeus definitely making the right call there, because as long as Dudu doesn't see him, doesn't know where he is, should be able to get the TP off, as another trap is being set here, and Leaper and Nando are having absolutely none of it.
Yeah.
Unless...
Well, we'll see whether they can actually clear something out. As Leaper and Nando are going to move up. That's Carrier going in, finds the knock-up onto Leaper. Cease and Assist comes in as well. It's decent layering as the bullet time comes through as well. But Gumiushi's going to survive it. Cuz throws a spear to Narnia, and he's not going to be able to pick up anything. That is just the bottom lane dead.
Oh, Owner with a beautiful read there at the ready, was setting up a trap of themselves, and not only do Leaper and Onda walk in, but with Cuz they feel a lot more confident. Heavy investment. It works out amazingly. Guma, that is going to be one juicy back.
Oh yeah.
Topside turret, 2 more kills into him. And T1 now with a gold lead. Not enough by itself, but as long as Guma has flash, should be able to do a decent job of staying alive in these team fights. Later Rune King now going to be done. And we'll see what ends up. I imagine it's just going to be like Blade, Ginsu's, like the old kind of on-hit build, and then what, Wits End Terminus, or Terminus Wits End. I don't mind an early Wits End in this specific game. We'll see what he ends up going. It is a lot of damage.
Yeah, I'd really like to see sort of the double defensive choices. As we have a look at this one more time, Carrier just immediately, as soon as he sees Leaper, he's like, I have an anchor for you.
It's actually really nicely done there by Owner. So what he does is he goes in with the Q onto Ondil, and then while Carrier's setting up the damage onto Leaper, Owner then uses his ultimate to also knock Ondil away. So Ondil can't actually go for the re-engage and deny all that damage until it's already too late. As Zeus, I think, are dead.
He might be in trouble unless he does some pretty extraordinarily cool alcove things, as he's going to try and use the equalize, but unfortunately he is in a circle and he is not getting out. Did do a lot of damage there to Cuz, but he has the ability to heal himself back up, as Owner is going to return the favor by taking down Shelly on the top side of the map.
How does Rel get that kill?
Well, you see...
Ondil didn't ignite, like, it's Rel of all the champions.
Hooves.
The power of hooves.
Yep, just trampled. you know, as Leaper is going to stand his ground and will be able to destroy that minion wave. Faker getting to work here on this bottom side, just clearing out those minions that are heading forward. Remember, 6 grubs are there, so if ever T1 has some spare time in a side lane, these turrets will evaporate. And gold, 1,000 in it. Not really a whole lot, and it's a mountain soul this game as well. I have a feeling T1 probably pretty happy about that. Really creates a lot of corridors on the map and allows you to find some pretty nice equalizer positions if you can push your opposition into them. Still, I guess Misfortune probably likes that as well. You can create a lot of artificial terrain with
Even
Bulldog's
Bulldog.
ultimate as well. That can certainly work out.
This is going to be a really important dragon fight here, because the gold, it's a slight lead for T1, but I don't think it means that much in the grand scheme of things. Like, looking at the item finishes, no one is particularly far ahead. Obviously, Guma is accelerated, but if you look at what Leaper has, still a lot of combat power there between the BF sword, and I think the finished Cole being a really big factor in that, as well as the BT. So now it's going to come down to who finds the better setup around this dragon. And crucially, like, Guma's flash to me is the biggest thing here. The fact that he's able to flash out of an engage of a Bulldog is absolutely huge. Keria thus far has been on point with these engages. We'll have to see how Kwangdong pilot this, because Leaper doesn't have his flash. Not up yet. Cleanse, as mentioned, help a little bit, but I don't think that alone is going to be enough.
Maloney,
On the ward.
Yeah, waiting. Not actually starting up this dragon just yet. And on vision, Kwangdong Freaks don't really need to worry about it as they're going to go in. Circle does go down. Bulldog immediately turned on and exploded. Andal finds a decent Magnet Storm, but they're still not able to find any kills at all. T1 will wipe them out in this fight. And Dudu is just trying to flash for his life. There is an outer turret here, but Cuz and Leaper are out of this one, and T1 can go for a dragon if they'd like one.
That is going to be the dragon, and I think T1 might be looking for a dive as well. Faker's pushing the wave.
Yep, Dudu is going to turn up, trying to push them back in here. There's the all-out onto Zeus, and Harpoon, with the help of Piercing Arrow, is going to be able to take him down. Faker is finally going to turn up, find some Sand Soldiers to deal with this misfortune, and Cuz, he knows that he's dead. He's going to see whether he can take Zeus with him. The answer is no, but at least he gets a flash. But T1, they'll also get a turret and the first Mountain Drake of the game.
And it looks like Kwangdong get the jump onto T1, but that's not what happens here, Atlas. They're more than ready. Look at this, the flash from Owner there is the crucial thing. If they can kill the Vi, that alone might be enough. That and the wall from Faker to get the initial CC down, deny Bulldog the ability to get out, even if he's taking a big chunk of damage. And I gotta say, if they kill Owner there, like, also the ability to then immediately just keep the Aurora in place could have been taken away. And then obviously this is
Fish in a barrel.
This is it's apple picking. You know, it's not. Well, I mean, you can either really.
I guess they're either trapped in a. I guess they can move around in the barrel, and Kwangdong Freaks players were moving around underneath their turret, so.
Sure, whichever metaphor you prefer. Yeah, I'm fine with either. Really big win there for T1. Now building up a 4.5 or almost 4.5k gold lead. We also have the Mountain Drake going to Demazeus.
He is going to get crashed into. Nice spear is going to connect there from Cuz, who does make his way down. Gumayushi is also dead because Bulldog has the ability to put him in a circle, and immediately Kwangdong Freaks are going to fire back against T1. They might even be able to get some good damage on this outer turret.
Yeah, I'm like, go to Nash. There's no Nash. We're 80 minutes into the game. This is an absolute bloodbath. And just, I think, like us with our conversation about apples, felt like there was a moment of respite in this. There is no respite. There is only the fight. There was only blood.
Only kills.
There will be blood, Atlas. On Summoner's Rift, as Andil Ice Cold just goes for the Hex Flash. And that is a very big set of kills, because that means that Guma, his bounty gets picked up. Zeus didn't have a bounty because he's been doing a good amount of dying. But it means that the gold lead immediately brought back to about 2k as we take another look here. It's very straightforward. Zeus just gets engaged on, and then Guma just gets Aurora. Unfortunately, I think makes the right call not to flash. Actually really like that, because there is no Baron. If there's a Baron, I think you need to flash that and hope that the team can bail you out. But keeping your flash, absolutely pivotal. Looks like he will be going for that Wit's End next. Mid lane turret's still going to fall, so that alone not enough to bring Kwangdong fully back into the game, but it does show Can't underestimate this team, Atlas. They're still looking.
Yeah, you definitely can't. 3 turrets now picked up for T1. It's a large reason why they still have that 3,000 gold lead, or 2.5k, something like that. Still not the end of the world for Kwangdong Freaks, so T1 going to need to do a little bit more. Try and get this one in the bag, or in the barrel, or on the tree, or wherever you want to put your apples, which I think is the theme of this game. Baron has now just spawned.
There's so many different types.
There are. There's
so
a lot of
many different
variety.
applications. It's just wonderful.
What is your favorite version of an apple-based dish?
Probably just Dutch apple pie.
Really? You're an apple pie fan? I like apple crumble, but I guess it's kind of just apple pie.
So in Dutch, you have something called, which it just translates to like butter cake, which is just, it's like 70% butter. It's delicious. And
oh, heck yeah.
my mom made a version of that with apples on top, like slightly tart.
Ooh.
So it's just, it's great. It's
That sounds
basically
incredible.
just a crumble with a different texture and more butter.
It's a slightly tart.
It is a slightly tart.
Oh, that's amazing.
Tartatan is also banger, by the way. As Guma has somehow ended up with the most gold in this game, which is pretty remarkable.
I mean, he does have 5 kills.
Helps a lot. So coming into the next fight, there is a possibility for T1 to just do an Ashe. And I know that this is a meme, but I want to draw everyone's attention to the champions that they have. So they have percentage health damage on Vi, they have Leandris on Rumble, they have Azir with Nashers, and then they have on-hit Varus. So
That's a fair bit of DPS.
yeah, no, that Baron is going to go down second. Actually, one of the bigger advantages I think they do have over the Kwangdong comp. Kwangdong need a good amount of time. Their Baron damage isn't really something that at this point in the game I think is going to be that big a threat, and neither team is sitting at soul point, or in case of Kwangdong, they're not even close to it. So you see as well with the wards already being set up towards the top side of the map, I wouldn't be surprised if T1 just pulled the trigger with just the 2 of them, right? Even just Owner and Faker,
Oh, yeah.
go for this objective in a very short amount of time.
Well, Kwangdong Freaks wanting to set up around this Drake, 20 seconds until the next mountain is on the table. They do know that there is a Rumble on the bottom side, so he's not going to be helping with any sort of Baron or anything like that.
Oh, look at the sums as well.
Yeah.
Basically, everything's going to be up here. Again, Guma's flash to me, probably the most important summoner, but Leaper having his available. We saw in the previous fight, tried to ult, immediate equalizer on top of him.
Well, that is going to be some vision taken out here. Shattering Strike going to be avoided with that Vault Breaker as T1 gets some Banana Brush control. Spear almost connecting onto one of the wings of the Dragon here as Bulldog.
He needs to make his way over. I don't know if it's going to be in time. I think this Dragon is gone. It's more about can they find the fight.
Yeah, they do manage to get on top of Bulldog, who just puts a circle in the wrong direction. Equalizer also just sitting in the middle of nowhere as the Drake is still getting amongst it. But that is just going to be the kill onto Andal. It was in no man's land, unable to do anything. Still somehow Kwangdong Freaks are the ones with control of this Drake. And Cuz is over the wall, so he's not going to be able to get a smite in there. It is going to be the Dragon secured here by T1, but can Kwangdong Freaks keep themselves alive in the fight? As Spear connects on Gumayushi, but there is no follow-up. And Kwangdong just couldn't really decide what to do. They will be able to find that little hit onto Owner, who goes down exceptionally low. Same can be said for Bulldog as Gumayushi gets in there. He is going to sacrifice himself as Empress Divide will take down Dudu, and Owner is still alive. That's an ace, because Andal was already dead from before.
And T1, colossal win, get the Mountain Drake, set up soul point, and then win the fight. Crucial there, and love this from Owner. So what happens is he goes in, smites the spell shield up, and Bulldog is forced to use his ult defensively. So he uses the dash to get over the wall so that he doesn't die, which I think is the right call. But it also makes this Andal engage very questionable. I understand if you have like Leaper basically pre-firing, that can work, but you can't have that play and not be coordinated. And then from that point on, Zeus is just roasting them on the other end of the fight. Baron in the picture-in-picture has been taken, and it's yet another apple orchard for the taking here for T1. They just have to play this slow, and you see there's no problem. Ward comes down, TP comes in. Even with a kill on Guma going over, everyone on T1 got what they wanted. Baron has been taken, and I think Atlas, in this final week of playoffs, we are going on day 1 to a game number 3.
Yep.
Final week of layup to playoffs.
Yep. It's also going to be possibly the first loss for Cuz's Nidalee so far this season, which is a kind of crazy thing to think about because, of course, Quantum Freaks are sitting at a very even game score. So there's been quite a few losses in that column, just none of them have been the Kitty Cat Lady. So only going to make it to 9 in a row, not quite going to get it to 10 as Dudu, he's going to clear out this top wave. But this is a 7,000 gold lead for T1. They have Soul Point up and available. They have Baron still for another 2 minutes time.
Yeah.
They've just got to cleanly move towards the enemy base and take them down.
Want to draw attention as well to how hard it is to actually turn onto someone of T1. So we have Stopwatch for Zeus. We have the Banshees as Guma.
Bulldog is going to put Bulldog into a circle and just take him down. Emperor's Divide is going to come on through, but Faker is also dead. That is Leaper falling as well, though, and you cannot cross the veil when there is an anchor coming from Carrier still. Spear's not going to connect. Andal not tanky enough. And T1 just have enough firepower with the members that they had left. That's Equalizer to help them take down Bulldog, and Owner is just a carry in his own right. He's 6-0-4 on this Vi, and so I guess they don't need their damage dealers, I'm doing air quotes right now, because they've got Owner. They've got this Rumble as well, who does so much work, and Carrier can keep them in place. That is one heck of a way to reach 1,000 kills, as Owner is just going to come in and take the team fight into his own hands.
I really thought that I was going to talk about all the defensive itemization on T1, that I had put a powerful curse on as immediately both Faker and Guma die. Fortunately, Owner has my back and ensures that that alone is not enough to end this one. Again, the power of stealth coming in huge, but Faker crucially buys so much time here with this setup, and without Leaper gone, there just isn't enough damage. I also feel like Guangdong knew, like, we probably shouldn't try to fight this without Leaper, but they still kind of index into it just a little bit, right? They hold up, you see some hesitation, and then there's that combo we were talking about earlier. The Equalizer, the long distance support for Owner is ultimate, ends up being huge, and those kills, I don't think they're going to amount to too much, and I want to draw attention to the Flash Charmer of Guma. That's going to be up. And really, outside of Zeus, who will just press Sonya's if you and you know, put the fire underneath you if you try to get anything done, it's most likely that T1 is going to be able to pick up the Mountain Soul here.
Yeah, Spear is going to break the shield on Faker. He's standing on a ward. Doesn't really matter. They're going to be able to take this inner turret. And the rotations should be pretty comfortable if they'd like to just make sure that mid wave is shoved in, get the Quandong Freaks as far away from this Drake Pit as possible, get themselves a Mountain Soul, and then that would be absurd. That is going to be the Chains of Corruption absorbed, and now Bulldog's going to do it again. He bounces to the other side and the other side, and then Kumushi's going to get out of there. Does use both of his summoners, though, as now Dudu thinks he may have found an opportunity as Owner. He goes in, they're going to turn the fight on its head, but Owner's the first one to go down. There is the T1 follow-up, as Zeus, the walking barbecue, is going to be able to clear them all out. And so Owner's dead, but then he's got the rest of his mates to take care of it.
Gumayushi also staying alive in that one, making great use of his flash, and we are going to a game number 3 here, Atlas.
Yeah, we definitely are. That is going to be the first Nexus turret going down. Carrier is going to also bring Nautilus out of his losing streak. The man was definitely underwater when it comes to being able to win, and is finally going to pop his way out on the shores of Bilgewater today and bring T1 to game number 3 against the Quandong Freaks.
Very, very important game win here for T1. Yes, mathematically, it might not have meant too much if they got eliminated here, but I truly believe if you lose this game, that has ripple-on effects as you set up your prep for playoffs, as you try and get ready, get into the mindset of, as we all keep joking about, the inevitability of another T1 Gen G final. But if you see the struggle that even this game was, I think we're still going to be mostly just believing and not really, you know, being able to provide a lot of evidence. And because his win streak unfortunately comes to an end, this guy has been absolutely insane on the Nidalee. This game just didn't end up being enough.
Yeah, it didn't quite work. I actually would have liked maybe not the Cassante towards the top side if they were going to be going for it. Dudu just felt like he wasn't able to do enough towards the later stages, but also this game was kind of crazy, got out of their control. We'll see whether they can take more control in game number 3. We're going to go to a short break. When we get back, the Space going to break that one down. We'll have the last game of the night. We'll see you there.
나오는 거 좀 해도 되고, 나오는 거 좀 해도 되고.
나 이거 뒤돌 수도 있어 일단은.
와드 좀 이거 지우자.
공각 보고 있어 나. 렐. 더블레 빠졌다.
빨리.
물.
나쁘진 않아.
천천히 먹게 오래가부터.
오른쪽 뒤에
따라붙어?
있어. 뒤에 있어.
뭐야?
아니 뺐어. 위로 뺐어.
빠졌어. 나 미포 모드 일단. 찍긴 했어.
할만해.
나 죽긴
야
했어.
나도 죽었다 근데.
위로.
네 좋은데. 끌었어.
위로 가면 끝날 것 같아.
미드 갈게 미드.
너 지금 아니다.
이게 하나밖에 없어?
끝나긴 해.
파란 팀의
In game number 1, and this time they're going to ban the same champions. It's going to be Ashe, Lilia, and Callista, and we'll see what T1 are going to do as far as changing up what their bans are going to look like.
I don't like a high Yona priority. I think we have to let the one go. It just hasn't looked good for T1 as the Rumble is going to get taken away. I imagine Kwangdong are still very much looking to just high prio the Aurora. The glimpses of hope in the previous game still through that, and oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. There's the respect being paid to Owner. Owner can, of course, obviously still go towards the Lilia if it does end up making it through. But that does mean that the AD mids are more likely. And I gotta say, that Azir game is one of the better games we've seen Faker play in I'd say a couple of weeks. I think, obviously, wasn't the main character, but was a very clean game with him having a lot of impact compared to the Yone of game 1, right? It's going to be the Cassante instead.
Huh.
Wow, we are really throwing things. It's better than the Yone ban, so I'll take that.
I mean, the Tristana is now up and available, though. That's the dangerous thing. And it's something that I imagine the Kwangdong Freaks aren't too worried about first picking, because I imagine that they'll probably still be able to get it. Aurora is an opportunity, but they could just lock away the Nidalee if they would like to.
Oh.
I think this is pretty smart. You can then go Nidalee, and then if they don't pick Renekton Tristana, you can take Renekton Tristana on 2-3, which I feel would be quite powerful.
That's not bad.
Especially if you can then put a Ziggs in the bottom lane. But that might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Aurora is able to be picked away, but will it actually be able to win out? I do want to see the Buster Shot interactions if the Tristana is indeed picked up. Owner considering his Lilia here. Will be a lot of magic damage here for T1 if they do lock this one away. This would be less and a lot of skirmishing power if the Viego does come in. Definitely a possibility.
Depends, because if it's Bulldog that ends up playing it, you can just have the Aurora bounce around like a
pinball. Like
Yeah.
actually just pinball the Aurora all the way around her little circle thing. That would be very, very funny. I want to see them do it. I want to see them just do Trist and Renekton and just call it a day.
Yeah, if the Aurora wasn't picked up, I'm pretty sure they would have just gone Aurora and Italy Renekton.
Oh yeah.
And they would have been very happy with that. But given that that is not the case, I do expect Bullock to go back. To remind everyone, he was the guy that started picking Tristana very early on. And in general, Bulldog, for all of his weaknesses, because I do think he is a very binary player. In like some performances, he looks amazing. Sometimes he looks rough. But his willingness to play new picks has been something that, even though it looks silly initially, has often been, and his team has often been correct in identifying things that end up being absolutely huge. It's going to be Leaper with the Ezreal. Love this. I again want to reiterate, Ezreal is one of the few AD carries that has a surefire way to get out of Aurora's ultimate, meaning that it is a lot harder for her to reliably lock you down. This would give away what the setup is going to be.
This wouldn't.
That does not, no.
That would be interesting. Yone, a consideration once again, much like in game number 1.
I like that a lot
Azir
more.
will be the pivot. I like that. I agree with you a whole lot more.
It's not even because of the matchup, because I think one of the reasons why we started seeing Tristana in the first place, like way back, was because you could play it into Azir and you could buffer the ult and become a scaling menace. Now, obviously, the early laning phase has been substantially hit, but that late game and mid game or side lane threat that Tristana is 100% still viable. Renekton ban, absolute no-brainer on that one. The Varus, Guma gets to play it one game after it's not been meta and immediately gets it taken away. I imagine the Senna ban is next to deny Carrier the opportunity to play a really high resource carry. And let's be honest, Guma, his Senna is notorious.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
And you can create a lot of safety with the Aurora as well. So it sort of does double duty, keeping people out and keeping people in. Gonna see what the final ban is here for the Quandong Freaks. They're taking some time. I think that the Senna could be a decent idea, and there it goes. So now, T1, what are we going to be locking away? I imagine an AD carry. Allow Carrier to have the counter pick option.
So there are two angles that you can go as a result to what most likely will be NMF. Here for Kwangdong, do you go for the Karma and just try to bully the lane as hard as possible and win from there? As this was banned last game, obviously one of Gumayushi's favorite picks.
Oh yeah, that would be a lot of power. There it is.
So this also creates a scenario where if you don't pick Karma and you end up playing into Caitlyn Karma, you're very sad. But if you pick the Karma and you end up playing into Caitlyn Lux and you make one mistake, you're also very sad.
Sounds like a lot of sad, Chronicler.
Oh, I'll have to see how they play it out. But the downside, obviously, of that is if you end up, I was about to say, so if you end up going for Karma or Lux, or not Lux, but if you end up going for Karma, which is most likely, you have 0 engage, and you do need it. So this feels like kind of a always bad scenario for Kwangdong, where you're basically just going to sack the lane in the hope that the pressure that Leaper is going to have is going to be enough. That said, if Carry ends up going for... Because it could also just be Braum, right? Like that's still up. We've seen Caitlyn Braum.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on what you want to do. Because if you do end up going for something like... I was about to say the lack of engage. I do think Bard can struggle because there is a lot of mobile champions on the enemy team. As it will
going to be Braum.
End up being the Braum, which into the Nautilus obviously feels amazing. Does not solve your engage issue, but you have Aurora, so really, do you need engage when your opponents are all locked into a circle? I think not.
Yeah, you could also just get Faker on a flank angle. He could also maybe just find some sort of wall to set up and then throw everyone into a fight. That might be the way to do it.
It is hard into the as Tristana, though, to find that consistently.
I would agree. I do think that T1 are a little bit lacking when it comes to a little bit of those starting the fight options. I think Quandong Freaks, plenty of ability to sit around and just poke you as well. So T1 kind of needing a bit of engage for this particular game. They do have a door that they can put up to try and stop some of the harass, but otherwise it could be a little bit dangerous. As I do like a little bit of the Dudu support here. I think that he had a rough one on the Cassante, but his Renekton was real good. We'll see what his Nara is going to look like in today's game. Something that he has played a heck of a lot in the past. Yerin Park, she is a famous Korean artist here supporting T1. Does have her custom jersey as well, which is super cool. And she's hiding behind it.
Oh, this one-match Atlas might end up deciding the playoffs' fate.
It could.
Of some of our teams. Can't wait to see what's going to happen here. This is going to be another volatile one. I imagine some level 1 shenanigans maybe with that Braum.
Ooh, true. And especially with Caitlyn as well, you can sort of just rain down hell. A possibility. T1 now with Zeus taking the Aurora towards the top side of the map as well. It is Viego for Owner. He could definitely carry on that. A lot of things here. Let's jump to the rift for game 3.
수환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, T1 fans in full voice here, but the Kwangdong fans always louder than expected. And we are here in the deciding game. This could help Kwangdong Freaks' playoff chances immensely. Their only matchup after this is against DRX. They struggled to do too much of anything in their matchup against KT earlier on today. Should be a freebie for them in theory. And that would put them in phenomenal standing as far as getting towards the playoffs themselves. T1, they just want to win here and then secure their spot, not have to worry anymore. They will have to face BNK later in the week. And if they can do that with no worries, then that's going to feel way better than if they're doing it for their playoff hopes and dreams. You know?
Ooh, Andil gonna get a ward. This is also gonna give away the situation at hand, which is that we are swapping lanes.
Yeah. Faker is now going to get jumped on here as Bulldog on his favorite champion. He's also Dragon training as well. I really like it. It's my favorite Tristana skin. So he's going to be able to use that Dragon to try and clear out these minions as Zeus hopping around the lane. And it is just top and mid laners hanging out in the same lane. Kind of weird. 8-0 here for Bulldog. That is definitely the big one. The 0-3 on the Nautilus. It's either a win for the Nautilus or the first loss for the Tristana in this game. Is Carrier just being frustrating here, trying to annoy Cuz. Going to successfully do that. Andal doing exactly the same thing on the other side. And he's going to get Conqueror, and Andal is not going to have his Aftershock anymore. The Ignite goes down, and Andal is finally going to be able to do what he wanted, which was just clearing out a ward. As that's a reset success here for Carrier. Really nicely done. Zeus is moving in. Cuz gonna have to give up on his red buff. That's the power of level 1 Braum.
Really is. Faker also making sure that Bulldog can't leave the lane. He's getting pushed in now, but as long as Bulldog stays, there's already an opportunity. Zeus making his impact shown, and now we will have the 3v3 towards the top half of the map. So this is going to be the possible triple buff here for Owner, thanks to the spirited defense of Carrier and Zeus. Cuz not able to take his own bot side camp, and yeah, Owner did take a bit of a beating, but that wasn't enough to dissuade him. And most crucially, he had already picked up the buff as, that is...
Yeah, his Caitlyn's been pretty good for quite some time. In fact, their Caitlyn Lux has been... I don't know whether it's lost, and if it has, then it's only a very few amount of times for the amount of times that they've played it. This
literally could only be once.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Caitlyn Braum, not quite as powerful. Carrier's Braum has been divisive in the past.
Divisive indeed, Atlas.
Yeah, to say the least. As Andal and Leaper are going to be moving up. They do have a minion wave here, but with Zeus still in the area, it's going to be hard for them to make it towards this turret as they do clear out the wave. Owner is moving down as well, 4 versus 2. Nidalee nowhere in sight.
So crucially, they are denying experience and money to the duo lane here, but they're also giving up a good amount of experience towards the top side. The thing is, though, again, they are getting plate damage down.
Oh, that's the flash over from Owner, but doesn't find the stun. And Leaper just going to give them the old death thumbs up and move his way over towards this turret. Finds also a bit of extra damage, yeah.
Zeus is going to have to TP. Will end up making it, obviously, no opportunity to cancel there for Andil unless he just walks in and blindly hooks, which most likely would have been into his death. Does mean that there's a TP advantage here for Dudu. So actually, when it comes to CS, looks like it didn't end up going too poorly here for Leaper and Andil. Experience seems relatively even, and an advantage for Dudu. The big thing is that obviously T1 was able to pick up more plates, but considering this Kwangdong that set up the lane swap, I think they're going to be decently happy with that, because again, you kind of take that as a given when you swap away from your bot lane.
True. And so with the fact that the gold is completely even, you're going to say that Kwangdong Freaks got what they wanted. Now, can they get everything else. Because I think Grub's going to be something that Quantum Freaks will need to pay a lot more attention to. I think getting the Grubs into the hands of a team with a Tristana has always been a very big thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, still actually laning very effectively here, as Gumayusi on this Caitlyn going to be able to retain control of this lane, I could imagine.
Yeah, there you go. Carrier does now hit level 3, but there was a Ondil was almost at 4. So pretty solid experience lead in the bot lane, and really in any lane. Gotta be really respectful of those. Early level ups are an insane extra amount of power. Ondil looking for a hook. Not gonna be the case just yet, as Cuz will be on the ward for this. But Owner, he's taking the bot side. Is not too surprising though, given that he has a Caitlyn on his team. But again, as you were saying, I do hope that Cuz will grab this opportunity. Faker now TP's back in. Bulldog does kind of still need to back, but at the very least gets this wave in. Cuz is going to start up the Grubs.
Yep, I believe full information going over to the Quantum Freaks, and they definitely have it now, as first Grub is going to be taken, and so top and bot side trade, and you can understand why both teams are aiming for the options that they went for. T1 trying to accelerate towards some dragons, and it's going to be a triple Grub start here, as well as Owner being able to set up for a potential dive.
Oh.
Carrier going to find a Winter's Bite onto Andil here. And now Owner is going to make his attempt. Let's see whether they can lock them down, as he does pick up turret aggro. Owner's only level 5. There is the flash out from Andil. And now T1 looking for it once again. The teleport does come in. They're going to be able to kill Leaper. But can they get out? That's the question. The answer is absolutely no. The Gnar is going to clip Carrier, but he stands beside Gumayusi. He's going to see whether he can save him. Dudu and Andil trying to fight this one out. The flash comes out from Carrier, but it's not enough. It's Caitlyn! Gumayusi able to get the kill back, and it's a 2 for 2.
2 for 2, gold, dead even, but this top side wave is going to go into the turret. So a small win TP as well used by Dudu, but I gotta say, Dudu with a double kill. Clean with it is Cuz.
Yep.
He's going to continue getting to his jungle. Actually, that might not have been that good, because now the rest of the wave...
Yeah, now the rest of the wave is going to evaporate,
it's
but...
just going to get eaten. So this looks a little dicey initially, as Owner takes aggro thanks to a great hook. But Guma is able to do so much damage here, crucially. Like, gets a Q off on both Ondil as well as Leaper, and then Leaper ends up getting CC'd going down. And then that flash from Guma ends up being the big difference maker, because if he doesn't flash that, that alone could have been enough. They get knocked to the wall, and that's the end of it. And then here, between the traps, this looks initially really bad, but because of the barrier, he's at least able to trade back. Probably still not.
Well.
Yeah, probably still not ideal for Guma to get hooked instead there, but ends up working out not too badly. As my God, I kind of wonder what build Guma is going to go for, because we do see the early Dirk here.
Yeah, looks like it's a possible collector, unless he's going for the fabled lethality Caitlyn.
Yeah, I feel like
I think
after
is even less of a thing.
all the lethality nerfs, not what you expect. As Ondil is learning why playing Nautilus into Braum is not fun.
Yeah, especially Braum Caitlyn, because as soon as a Winter's Bite or concussive blows is going to go down, it means that you then get trapped. And yes, there is a delicious cupcake, but you also die. And so that's not good. As Andil's going in, whether he likes it or not, Cuz going to come on through, is able to heal him up, but it's not enough. Carrier shows them the door, and they're going to have to take it, unfortunately.
Owner on his way. Carrier says thank you very much, and Ondil, those are some crucial missed hooks. Yeah, that is indeed an owie. Also do note, Faker is roaming over, so are Bulldog and Ondil, but I don't think they're going to make it in time here. Looks like Cuz is going to have to give this one up. Spear doesn't land.
Oh, Dudu inside the circle here. Zeus just going to press a bunch of buttons. Dudu not going to get hit by that Q. And therefore, Zeus going to let him live, at least for the moment. Flash still down here for Dudu. And Zeus still has his, so just going to put on that added pressure. Quantum Freaks, I mean, it's not over yet, but the amount of pressure that T1 have put on in this early game is pretty colossal. Let's see whether they can get anything back. Is Bulldog and Cuz on a bit of an excursion towards the topside jungle of T1, trying to stay on the front foot, stay aggressive. But it's here in the bottom lane that we're really seeing some struggles.
Yeah, already have, and Guma hasn't even based yet. So we are going to see a setup attempt at least. But I think, yeah, there's enough time for Zeus to just peace out here. They don't actually know where Owner is, but you see the moment that they spot Cuz towards the top side of the map, Cuz runs down Demolish is going to do a good amount of damage to this turret.
Yeah, Andal, he has to get out of here. He is going to be able to hook the wall. But the turret is very much dead. And I don't think there's any way that they can actually get back there. So Caitlyn doing her job, rotating around, taking the turrets where she can. And this is where the gold is going to really start exploding for T1. Because Gumayusi is going to just do this with every lane. That's how it's going to go.
It's the Caitlyn game plan. Bulldog not been able to really make a mark in this mid lane matchup. I think really feeling the nerfs to the early game of the Tristana.
There's a collector done here for Gumayusi as well, so first item is completed. Leaper without a Trinity Force just yet. It's not going to stop the Quantum Freaks from being able to take all 6 of these grubs.
Ooh, okay, so this is the big thing now. What T1 need to avoid is take, like, usually it's the third dragon, but it can be the second dragon as well. So you're feeling great, right? You're ahead, and then you take, like, second or third Drake, and then Tristana gets, like, a turret and a half, because she has 6 grubs and she's Tristana.
Yeah.
Want to avoid that at all costs. So we do have a possible player. Umbio is still level 5, as is Keria, so these supports really been moving around a whole lot. Dragon is being taken right now.
Yeah, it's going to be Ona down there. He will announce the fact that that is what he's doing, but it's going to take a little bit of time to get through this one. And it looks like Quantum Freaks just going to call it off.
Oh, look at that. Faker was even on his way as well to respond to a possible play.
Yep.
Not going to be the case.
Drake going to be taken, and that is going to be T1 now, evening things out. It's another Mountain Soul. So a Mountain Rift a couple of times here in this series. I feel like we haven't had that many Mountain Rifts so far this season, so kind of good that we have statistics just going back to equilibrium here today.
It is indeed Collector first here for Guma. So, big one-item spike. Outside of the Mega Gnar, also not too many threatening beefy boys on the enemy team. Nautilus is, of course, fake tanky, as we all know, unless he's paired with Senna.
Yeah. Might be tanky for a little bit, sort of, if
he does
get an aftershock.
Yeah, actually hit the hook, and even then, sometimes not really.
Yeah. You can auto someone if you at least get in range of them, because you hit a wall with your hook.
Yeah, yeah.
That feels good.
Does it?
Well, I mean, it feels better than instantly dying. Oh, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Bulldog is utilizing some grubs here on this bottom side. Zeus is able to clear out the minion wave very effectively. And Caitlyn positioned in the top lane. As Ace in the Hole will come down. And Dudu is going to collect that. And his boomerang.
That's Mininar getting hit by Collector Caitlyn.
Ow.
Not fun.
It's not feeling too good. Owner in the area is going to be able to sweep out some vision.
Also,
this is what they want to do. More plates.
So hurts even more. And the moment the Q hits, you just need to basically immediately peace out. I think Undo was happy that hook didn't hit.
Yeah,
I know that. Oh, Dudu does a flash. Kind of wonder, but both junglers seem to be very aware of each other's existence.
Yeah, I think Ona just cleared out a ward, and Cuz was standing on a ward, so there's a fair bit of information that is going around. It's going to mean that Faker has full news that he is very capable of just heading towards this mid lane and prying more plates out of this turret. It's going to be the first one picked up for this particular push. Going to be able to grab the next one as Leaper will be able to turn up, but he is behind him farm himself, does have a Trinity Force done. And there is Blade of the Ruined King completed here for Bulldog as well. He's in the bottom side, just farming things up against Zeus, who's falling behind a little bit. 20 CS or something like that is the margin, but CS for an Aurora, who cares? She puts people in circles. That's her job. She can do that with as much or as little gold as you would like.
All right, now, objective being started. Both Bulldog and Zeus have their TP available. Both really want to back, particularly Zeus, because he is sitting on a good amount of gold. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just play this slow. As Andil is able to actually take that. Gets the heal as well, so not too bothered.
Ooh, Mystic Shot going to connect.
That's
the Glacial Fissure not so lucky. Yep, Engage Braum is not really a thing.
Well, unfortunately, it is. But we don't want it to be.
No, well, I mean, it's not, though.
Well, like they try.
Ah, yeah. I mean, in theory, anything's a thing, you know? As Zeus is going to clear out some minions.
You're right, Atlas. In theory, everything's a thing.
Yeah, because it's in the word.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It was a good joke.
Yep. All right, Cuz is should be left alone for long enough in order to take this one down. It's getting late, okay? Get off me back, Chronicler. As
No, you know, I'm happy to follow you into the abyss. I just don't know if right now is the time.
Yeah.
As Dudu is going to utilize these grubs. Do note, first airbot has already been taken towards the bot side, as we did see Guma pick that one up very early as, a punish onto Zeus.
Oh, the Nara's going to be blocked by the ulti. Zeus going to be able to try and get himself out of here, but you can't dodge that one. The hook going to come through there as well. The wallop comes down. A lot of chain CC. He flashes the spear, and it's just enough to get him out of dodge. Bulldog trying to stand his ground and save this outer turret in the mid lane. But man, that escape from Zeus, I think he did everything he needed to do.
Yeah, that was actually so nuts. I'm pretty sure he used his ultimate not only as an escape tool, but also used the initial dash to cancel out Dudu's ultimate.
Yep.
So was able to, as a result, not only utilize the ult to, hippity hop to the other side and create some distance, but also the main thing, which was just slowing Zeus down, didn't end up mattering. And it was a pretty heavy investment that came through there from Kwangdong. Didn't end up really making a big difference. And now all of a sudden, 25 seconds until this soul fight is going to go down.
Oh, man.
I don't know if Kwangdong can really do a whole lot here. If T1 is entrenched, you have to walk past soldiers, you have to walk past Braum.
And he can't really do that. He is a wall.
Yes.
As a champion. We do have the Tristana on the bottom side of the map, so should be able to come on over for a flank angle.
Wow.
But Andal is now going to have to tank yet another one, as there is the ace in the hole. Ona comes over. Bulldog wants to try and push him away, but there's a nice stun onto the Tristana. Able to get himself out of there, but the Heartbreaker moves Ona forward. Still, Bulldog gets the heal, and is going to be able to keep himself alive. That hook was, almost good, but it did spell the death of Andal. And Dudu, look at that Naba. It is gorgeous. But it's not going to be necessary because they just can't use it.
And he doesn't have flash. Oh, I don't know. They might try to TP Bulldog in. They did use a lot in that sequence. And some of the health bars are low, but they got to use this Naganar. And I don't know if they have the timing. I don't think a whole lot's going to come from this. They're going to try and bully them out. Bulldog is back.
Yeah, Bulldog's going to be able to make his way into this fight. They're not going to have Andal for this one.
Oh, it's not
happening. And the spears aren't really connecting. That's a headshot from Gumayushi as Cuz.
Right. Oh my god!
That was kind of cool. He's going to be annoying. They're going to be able to take down a turret, and now Cuz is trapped in a circle. Still, that is going to dissipate, and they are going to be all right. So they're going to be able to trade Soul Point for outer turret, and Andal's life also goes down as well. So still a trade down for Kwangdong Freaks. But getting that turret was kind of cool.
That was a cool play from Cuz. Yeah, I liked it. It was enjoyable. Do see Owner trying to maybe get this. It doesn't even have Smite. Owner, you're not getting that one, unfortunately. Still a very favorable trade here for T1, right? Setting up Soul Point into a composition that, yes, does have a lot of sustained damage. So you're going to eventually reach a point where I don't think the resistances matter too much. But Poke is really going to be not nearly as effective as kind of shocked Bulldog didn't just W the initial stun setup. And then here, the heal comes in clutch. But Cuz misses the spear. Like, if he hits that spear, I actually think that at the very least they kill Owner. Doesn't end up happening. And then Dudu is like, guys, we can fight, right? My Narbar is in a perfect, like, I know I don't have flash, but I swear I can be useful.
He had the perfect, like, hop crush combo as well, like, at the ready.
Yeah.
It was just, like, one boomerang and then he's there. Like, oh,
Didn't happen.
Yeah, it's a bit sad. Still, if he can replicate that, and their setup is just that little bit better, could be an opportunity here. But I'm just hoping that Andal can hold himself together in this game. That is the main thing for me. We know that this guy does, take losses pretty hard. And once he starts spiraling, things can be a little bit of a problem. And I think that spiral has begun. He's going to have to just try and slow it down and get back on track here, make those smart plays.
In the opposite direction. Counteract the spiral.
Yeah, that's what we need to do.
And he can do it. Because again, neither team is eliminated upon loss in this series as on deal. Oh, Guma knows the banana brush is dangerous. Carry does take a good amount of damage. Obviously can't really engage onto a Braum, but this damage will stick.
Yeah. Play the Rune King to come through there as well, as the door is going to eat the True Shot Barrage. And Ace in the Hole is just going to annoy Bulldog. And by annoy, I mean halve his health bar. My goodness, it's really starting to hurt. And he's got a Fidget Spinner, so 2 items are done now for the Tristana. Only going to become more and more of a problem as this game goes on. As Faker Takes an explosive charge. Uses his shield quite nicely there as Dudu going to come on over and see whether he can take down a blue buff. Don't know whether he can do that in front of Zeus, who's going to turn up and do the same thing. Now he's going to try on this Rift Scuttle. He might be able to get that.
Okay, can't get blue buff.
Yeah, exactly.
Attempt number 2. Let's get it crabby.
I
looks
just
like
want to get something.
that's going to be the case. 2-item spike, no hit for Guma. Has his IE done. Obviously, going to be feeling great in that regard. But we are getting to the point in the game where the gold lead that is here for T1 doesn't mean that much in the grand scheme of things. It's more so about, can they continuously get to these objectives first? Really, that's what it boils down to for me. Because I feel like both teams are so insanely strong when they are entrenched. But taking control of a zone is actually very hard. And we have one really hard winning matchup, which is Dudu into mostly Zeus, as we can see here, as he does actually hit the boomerang. And Zeus really has to respect. And then on the flip side, we have Bulldog that is getting bullied out by Faker, right? This Azir in the 1v1 has been a really, really big threat. Continuously has Prio as well. So it kind of depends, how can you utilize that silent pressure on either side and make sure you get to the objective first. And the problem for Leaper is that he just can't really walk up to Guma because Caitlyn in like 3 crits will just murder him. Which makes it very hard to actually get Prio as back should have to come in now, and you see as well, I think Dudu should be able to push in his wave, and it can also cheat tempo because he still have the TP available. But they don't really have any flank wards, and Dudu doesn't have Mega right now, so he needs to TP ASAP and then try and build that, because they are going to need to rely on him if they actually want to make this fight work. And they have to. Again, Mountain Soul is not immediate game over. It's no Axe Deck, but man, is it going to make your game harder.
Yeah, feels really rough. It's going to turn Braum into a real tank and things like this, and they don't have many real tanks on the side of T1. But if they are sort of just tanky because of a Mountain Soul, then this composition is almost impossible to fight into with the amount of disengage, the amount of like just damage straight up that they'll have. It's kind of silly.
Tell me you played versus T1 before as Dudu places a ward near Paris. Like, no, not allowed. Not letting them do it.
Not starting this time as Fake is going to walk into that one, unfortunately.
Oh, Prio has been found here by Kwangdong. But Banana Brush control still in the hands of T1.
Well, Andil is going to stand on a trap, so they know exactly where they are. Zeus gives away his position. Both top laners with teleport in hand. They can come down for this fight if we do see anything actually erupting.
T1 also can give this up, which we haven't really discussed yet. If they don't think they have a good opportunity, as never mind, TP coming in.
Yep, they're not going to be giving this one up. Teleport to come through from Zeus, looking for Bulldog on a flank angle. They will be able to find him there. Azona taking a bit of damage himself. Faker looks for Bulldog. There is the rocket jump out, and Bulldog with teleport available. His Buster Shot now on cooldown though. So Dudu, he's turned up. Looking for a few more stacks onto that Nava. Zeus hops forward, puts them in a circle now. That is going to be the Drake, secured by the Kwangdong Freaks, but can they find the team fight? That's the question. Faker goes golden as the house just goes over his head, and Gumayushi takes down Leaper. Cuz is already dead as well, but they do at least save the soul, and Andil might even be able to get out. Oh, just barely. I think he deserved that. I think that was a bit of a mulligan from all those other times where he went in and
I'm not sure. I think it was because I saw someone in the cam of Kwangdong go like, oh boy! Because if they get him, that might be enough to then take up that bear. Because getting the dragon there, absolutely pivotal. Because that's the only thing that stopped this from being a complete disaster. As the start of this fight, obviously great for T1 as they're able to get Bulldog out of the fight. So there's a lot of damage missing. And there we see, the ult comes in, there isn't Mega Gnar.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And Cuz also flashed out of the circle, but still into the dragon pit. And so then he could really not go anywhere.
Yeah, he really did just kind of die. The one benefit there that you saw for Leaper was that he was actually able to make it out because he's Ezreal. So that's something. And the end result is that nothing has really changed.
Yeah, the end result is Kwangdong Freaks has to do that again in 3.5 minutes.
Yes, but by then, they will probably have Bulldog with what I imagine will be a Mortal Reminder. But I think Mortal Reminder is just outright
it's just kind of better.
Better now, yeah. Even if there's not that much healing. And there's Viego, you know.
Yep.
So I wouldn't mind it too much. We do see control of this pit being taken here. We've seen this one before.
Yep, they are just gonna do Baron. Carrier puts up the door. Konong Freaks are in the area, but Dudu is not. And so this Baron going down lower and lower, but yeah, this is not exactly going the best. Still, can they get into the pit? The answer is no. They are taking down the Aurora though, and T1 need to get themselves out of here as quickly as they can. They'll sacrifice one, but they'll get themselves the Baron. And Cuz not going to be able to chase after them this time around. Might be able to see them in this brush, but they just have no information, so there's no chance. And so that's T1 doing a T1 of old move, which is just take Baron.
Zeus gives his life for the colony and will be able to see the rest of his team walk it off. I imagine this colony, they got apples. Is that
Yeah,
been the
plenty of
ongoing
apples,
theme?
yeah.
As we do see here, the crucial thing is that even though Dudu has teleport, him teleporting doesn't actually do anything here because he doesn't have Narbar. So this is a really rough scenario. Zeus, I think, just goes back in to try and draw attention. Either that or he mistimed and he just died for no reason. But I think in that scenario, going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Could have also cancelled his own ult if his original intention was to get out another Baron. But is there to actually have it this time around, which I do appreciate for T1 with this Red Bull Baron power play.
Yeah, it's only ticking up to 1,000 at this point in time, but as they settle in, start to take down some structures, that's when things can get really dangerous. A minute and a half on both the Baron timer and this Mountain Soul fight, round 2. And so Quantum Freaks gonna have to try and find some sort of pick or something to get some sort of tempo back. Yeah.
Sonya's here for Faker. Third item done.
Yeah, has
Dudu,
his,
he was looking.
Yeah, Carrier doesn't find the ulti though, and Ona gonna have to slink back into the mist. Takes a lot of damage here as the screw is gonna connect there as well. Heartbreaker out from Ona. That is a decent investment. Cuz over this wall, looking for some spears, doesn't get him.
Oh, inner, I imagine, is the goal here.
Yeah.
For T1, and I think they should be able to get at least that, but that's not the most insane power play in terms of Baron that we've seen. As, oh, look at that.
Yeah, that is Andal taking a whole lot of damage. This is 3 items, Rapid Fire Cannon Collector, Infinity Edge for Gumayusi. We talk about troughs and stuff with Caitlyn, haven't done that so much this game. She's not in it anymore as much. 3 items is about where things start feeling okay, especially when you're a bit accelerated, and he's a bit accelerated. 4 items is when it starts feeling real good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be the fun times, and he's already got a Noon Quiver on his way there.
In general, I do feel like the item rework for AD carries did kind of take away, like the trough's still there technically, but...
I mean, with the collector build, it feels a lot better.
Yeah, it really does. And now, this fight, last fight was basically a must-win. This fight, very much the same, as we do have sums available across the board.
Yeah.
Stopwatch here for Faker.
Andal has to be really careful, Dudu. Not a lot of Narbar, as that is a very short hook. Andal's going to have to flash. He does so to get himself out of here. Bulldog, this flank angle is very scary, as T1 all grouped up. And the health bars on Quantum Freaks are getting lower and lower. They're going to have to commit to something, as there's the hook. It's going to connect onto Zeus, but that is the kill onto Andal. Zeus down so incredibly low. The Mega Gnar comes in. Faker going to get walloped off to the side. Bulldog has to flash to get himself out of the way, and there is the Mountain Soul. Emperor's Divide doesn't do a whole lot, but that's because his targets are already dead. Leaper gets over the wall, and Gumayusi will wipe him out. T1 now just trying to get the stragglers here, as Dudu wanting to chase after Carrier, but Gumayusi going to protect his support this time around. And Cuz going to need to try and pounce his way over some walls, and it looks like Ona doesn't even really care, because Z's going to turn up, and Cuz's time is coming to a close here as he does pounce on over towards Zeus. Also keeps himself relatively healthy, but there's that burst that we were waiting for. Zeus going to be able to lock that one down, and it looks like T1 are marching towards the finish line here in this game number 3. A bit of a slow start after dropping game 1. This is looking all but over.
Oh, and it was the initial burst that came through. I'm pretty sure that Dudu there wasn't able to, and I think there were more things that went wrong in that fight, but Voodoo, I think, looks to get the hop over the wall to kill Zeus, and it doesn't actually end up making it over. As we take another look, so obviously this, well played, but this is a pretty big investment. 2 ultimates already gone, and Andil still is available. So when he gets the hook on Zeus, this looks like it's playable. Like, look at this. Because Dudu has a full Narbar. If he makes it over,
Oh, true.
that could be enough, but instead doesn't make it over. And instead, I think, makes the right call, tries to turn around the play onto Faker, and then Faker has the stopwatch, then it gets the shuffle flash off, and from that point on, it just isn't the consistent damage. If that Maganar gets over that wall,
Yeah, that
that
could
play
have
could
been game
have
over.
been completely different, Atlas. But
It's a bit
now,
of a shame.
I think that might be the end of it for Kwangdong. As look at that gold lead.
That is falling off a cliff just a little bit here. That was a little bit of a dip back as Kwangdong Freaks tried to salvage whatever they could, but 7,000 gold is no small amount of money here at 31 minutes into this game. And T1's composition doesn't exactly lack scaling either. As that is Lord Dom's now completed for Gumushi. That's those 4 items we were talking about. Feels pretty great, especially when you're staring down Leaper, who has only 3. That's like a full armor penetration item, just there in comparison to your opposition.
T1 looking good. Hard to imagine that from this point in the game, Kwangdong find a way back. We're talking like a colossal, barren disaster, which we haven't seen in a while. Andil, only level 10. This was highlighted there. Looking dire here, Atlas, for Kwangdong. And they are not eliminated upon this loss.
I mean, this was an assumed one, right?
It was, and they can still beat the RX. That's Braum.
Yep, that's a hook. That is a dead Andil. There is nothing you can do about that one. Gumiyoshi just walks up to point-blank range and shoots the Big Daddy in the face. And that is going to be that. That might just be Baron here from this one as well. There are a lot of traps they're just not standing on, as Leaper trying to clear the way to get himself over here. Wanting to land some poke as Faker is hit by a spear. That's important, but the Baron is just going to go down. And now Leaper is inside a circle and destroyed. Yeah, he wasn't between worlds. He was just taken out of one. That is likely just it, because without their bottom lane, Kwangdong Freaks kind of don't have a defensive force to stop T1 from pushing down this mid lane unless the minions are eliminated. They could just tank up these turrets though, and that should be able to keep this siege minion alive, as Bulldog will be able to clear out that wave. Just don't know whether it's going to be enough here, as Nexus turrets might need to be tanked, and that could be a little bit of a stretch. But here in the top lane, they're going to be able to take down that inhibitor as well. And I don't think Bulldog has delayed for quite long enough. As you can see, Faker even getting to work. Bottom lane, this is going to only extend this gold advantage further. It's now ticking over to 10,000. And it's getting, you know, we use the word surmountable a lot. There's not a lot of surmounting that I think is going to happen in this game, Chronicle. That's what I'm going to say.
Anything can be a thing, Atlas. There is always a way. I don't know what the way is in this instance. As we take a look, unfortunately for Ando, his hook hits. And Braum has a lot of weaknesses. Getting engaged on is not one of them, so that's just the immediate setup here. I gotta say, you kind of gotta fish for hooks, but that, if you know the Braum is there...
Oh, he steps on the trap.
Yeah, steps on the trap, and otherwise...
Does immediately cleanse, but yeah, just can't really do anything.
Yeah, the damage is still gonna come through right from Guma, and to be fair, does he make it out? No, because he doesn't have his flash, or even if he gets the E, I'm pretty sure that he ends up going down as a... That's Guma's Caitlyn, all right?
Yeah.
We've seen that one before. There is... You know what the one mount is, okay?
Whoa.
It's getting an Elder flip. We have seen many a game where if you just do that, maybe it's just playable again. You also need to, you know, get Elder and then not trade Elder for Nexus. That's an often made mistake. As that they do sniff this one out.
Yep. Dudu looking for a little bit of an angle, but he just goes, you know, through the veil. And he is going to be fine. So Kwangdong Freaks,
yeah, look,
trying to get what they can.
They're setting up the for Nexus part of the trade.
Yeah, that's the rough part. They didn't take the top inhib,
Okay,
They're
well,
big, and now T1, they are going to be pushing, but Kwangdong Freaks might have them where they want them. Lipa probably shouldn't be frontlining. Don't have a lot of other options. Oh God, okay. Bulldog almost just executed as Faker is going to look for him. Buster Shot gets him out of there as these Nexus turrets going down so fast. They're in between worlds as Owner is going to take Andal out of it. Dudu now in trouble, gets hooked up by the newly constructed Nautilus. And Bulldog goes down as well. The rest of T1, they get on top of Lipa. You can't flash that one, cuz. And that is the double kill for Gumayushi. The ace comes through and T1, they stomp Kwangdong Freaks into the ground at the very end there. And they will be able to further their chances and get themselves towards playoffs.
big moment here as the 2-1 victory does come through. Dudu saying hello there. Had a really, really solid game of the Narc. Probably going to go back in the VOD review and be like, what if?
Yeah,
As
there's a
T1,
few of those.
It really does feel, as we have seen with BNK as well, like the solution to your troubles is look back, look into your past, and as they punch their ticket to playoffs, T1 is just did it playing Varus, playing Azir,
Yeah, I think
and playing Caitlyn.
Yep, the just go back to what works is a pretty worthwhile strategy. I think this guy had a fantastic series, to be perfectly honest. I think no notes for Owner. But I think T1 just going back to what works. And that is going to get you across the line. We'll see whether that's going to work against BNK a little bit later in the week.
Guess what, Atlas?
What?
Azir's getting buffs on the playoffs patch.
Haha.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh no, I'm not. It's not a joke. That's how Oriana as well.
No, I know. My haha wasn't like laughing at a joke. It
Oh.
was more just like, that's nifty.
It is.
It was,
Yeah,
it was one of those.
It is nifty. T1, it's been a tumultuous summer, but I feel like, as in so many things this summer, it feels reminiscent of last summer. You know, Keen and Lahens are at the top of the table.
Oh, yeah.
T1 are really struggling and their form isn't looking as good.
And then Genji chooses T1. No, maybe that won't happen. As we're going to have a look at some of the highlights here, I think Kwangdong Freaks didn't really get off to the right start. This was it was sort of all right, but it never really felt like Kwangdong Freaks found any real foothold in this game.
Carriot saying peace.
Yep, I'm out here.
I'm out. Very, very funny. There were so many moments where it felt like it was doable for Kwangdong, and it just barely didn't end up making it happen. Especially going back into these team fights, I think the impact of Carry as Braum can't be overstated. Actually having a wonderful time here.
I think Zeus actually having some pretty good moments on this Aurora as well. Really confusing a lot of people in the back of that Dragon Pit, but just the placement of these circles. This one, maybe not so much, but still guaranteeing the Baron for his teammates. Kwangdong Freaks unable to answer that one. And then this bit of a heartbreaker for Andal and a heartbreaker for Dudu as well. Imagine the parallel universe where he gets over that wall.
Yeah, because he had Flash. That's the big thing, right? Like, you don't want to flash over that wall because that takes away your engage opportunity. But those are the moments that, when all is said and done by the end of this week, could be the difference between Kwangdong making playoffs or not. And now Kwangdong, they still can make it, but their fate no longer in their own hands. Now reliant on BNK not getting a whole lot of wins.
Yeah, BNK has a bit of a rough time as that was half health with a headshot.
Yeah, good POG.
Yeah, his Caitlyn is very, very good, as we know. And T1 here, it looked like Kwangdong Freaks was setting up for some sort of team fight, and then they just weren't allowed to team fight because they just died one after the other. And unfortunately, just didn't quite work out there. They were already circling the drain. This was some heavy wallets as T1 just dispatched them. And the back-to-back games. And once again, it's the Kwangdong Freaks thing, right? Where they win a game, then they lose a game, and then the series is over. And that's why, even though their match score doesn't look very good, they were still very even when it came to the game score.
And even this is a 2-1 loss, right? So they're only at -1.
Yep.
Which is, funnily enough, still better than BNK, who are above them.
Isn't it still better than KT as well?
No, because KT got the 2-0, so KT got a perfect
So they're at equilibrium.
0.
Yeah, so
As-
after
as-
they
as you-
lose, 1-2 to DK.
Of course.
Then they'll be at perfect equilibrium once again. But now it is time for us to throw it over to the space to break down the T1 victory and welcome them to the playoffs.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Jason for the POG interview translation, joined by the POGs on the side of T1 owner and 구마유시. With this win up against Kwangdong Freaks, T1 has secured a spot in the playoffs. Congratulations on the win, guys. First up, owner. How do you feel about the match today? So I'm so glad that we managed to kind of decide our own destiny. So it means a lot. And 구마유시, recently you have received POGs in T1's last 4 victories, so it's 4 in a row so far. How do you feel about that? I guess it's meaning that playoff is around the corner, and I'm slowly going back to my playoffs form. After a loss in the first game, there were some adjustments in the drafting. Was there feedback to go with more confident picks? Yeah, indeed. We wanted to kind of play the champions that we like, and also we wanted to think of what would actually suit our kind of direction best. Well, prior to the second game, Cousins Italy had a 9-0 record so far this season. So how did you approach the jungle matchup? I was not aware of the fact that Cuz was on an undefeated record, and I'm kind of relieved that I managed to stop his win streak. Yeah, I'm happy. And you are the first player to, stop his streak. So what does that mean to you? I mean, a lot of records means a lot to the league, but it has to be me. It would be a lot better for me personally to be the one making all the records. So I'm so glad that I kind of resisted other people making some records, and I hope I can start off my own record here. Now let's take a look at this team fight replay. How did you manage to see the angle for a team fight? So yeah, we were following up after our mid and AD carry already died, but I was already pretty fed, and we had to kind of push the envelope in order to seal the deal. So I just went for the play, and we managed to win out the fight and also close out the game. And with the triple kill in the team fight, you managed to hit 1,000 kills in the LCK. How do you feel? I mean, time flies, I'm pretty surprised that I already got my 1,000 kills, and I wish I can get more kills in the future. Anything you want to say over to owner? I mean, to me, he is still a boy, but I'm so impressed that he's already on the leaderboard here in the LCK in terms of the milestones. So I wish he can keep breaking records. And 구마유시 in Game 3, Kwangdong Freaks picked Italy once again, and also Tristana, another undefeated pick for their lineup. Did you think it wouldn't be an issue to let them have those picks? So this is my personal thought, but I feel like the overall kind of comp synergy and kind of concept of the picks mean a lot, rather than focusing on the proficiency on individual picks. So yeah, because 구마유시 said it's his personal thought, I was so grateful that he was being really clear on that. And 구마유시, actually, Caitlyn has not been a very popular pick in the current meta, yet you confidently picked her. So what gives you the confidence to use her? No one else can play Caitlyn like me, so I was just feeling the confidence to go for it. And your collector Caitlyn was very powerful, so could you break down the item build there? So Caitlyn already has the crit numbers on her passive already, so I wanted to keep building crit items, but statics or Kraken are the items that are recently nerfed, so I rather wanted to build collector, which has a better stat. Now let's take a look at this replay where T1 was able to kind of juggle out all of the aggro so well. How did you kind of position for this team fight? So I was not, to be honest, paying attention to other teammates' positioning. I was just like doing damage onto the dragon, and then I had the headshot proc up available. So I was like, as long as I survive the fight, we will still win the team fight.
오너 선수는 이 장면일 때 어떤
And owner, would you like to add on to that?
일단 뭐저 상황을 봤을 때
Well, looking at that situation,
어쨌든
I think that was a little bit of a dicey team fight for us to take, to be honest, but I think we were still in a very good condition to kind of go for the fight, and I think everything kind of unfolded very well for us. And with this victory, Gumayushi, your Caitlyn now has an incredible LCK record of 17-1 total. Do you consider yourself as the king of Caitlyn? One day I will also get a Caitlyn skin. Speaking of royal skin, you know, T1's royal skin is being released in a couple of hours today. And in T1, your final opponent in the regular season is BNK Fear X. What are your thoughts on that? I think they're on a great momentum, and we lost to them in the first round robin. So as that will be our last match of the regular season, I wish we can end the season on a strong performance. Yeah, that's gonna be the final checkup on our performance right before the playoffs. So it's gonna be a great chance for us to realize how strong we are, and we will make sure to get a win there. And this will be the end of the POG interview with Gumayushi owner, and back to the space. Thank you.